Another gorgeous scene at Tradition Field in Port St. Lucie as the Mets get set to hopefully use those bats tonight a lot. David Wright enjoying the sunshine a couple hours ago, and Colin McHugh getting that right arm ready. He'll get the start tonight against Davey Johnson's first place Nationals. Got a night game tonight. Perfect temperature for baseball. The Mets and the Nationals as the sun going down on the east coast of Florida. City presents Mets baseball on SNY as the Washington Nationals are here to take on the New York Mets. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the broadcast alongside my partner, Ron Darling. I'm Kevin Burkhardt tonight. So we see the Mets for the second time this year on SNY, and a lot of things to look for tonight. But I guess first, we start out with some semi-bad news. Ruben Tejada was supposed to be in the starting lineup tonight, batting second, but he was taken out after conditioning today. Felt something in that right quad. Mets are calling it a cramp. Could be an issue, though. It's an injury they had in that right quad last year that kept him out 7 weeks.
Well, remember this play. I mean, it was just god-awful watching him do the face plant down to first base. Now, let's remember, coming into this season, the strength of this Mets team was going to be their infield. So they're a little short there. They can't afford any injuries. The good news, though, because of the World Baseball Classic, a lot of extra time here for Tejada to be ready for April.
So they're going to be cautious with Tejada. He will stay out. Terry Collins called him day-to-day. Brandon Hicks, with the Mets acquired from Oakland, will get the start at shortstop tonight. Meanwhile, of course, an ongoing discussion, which will be until April 1st, is this team starting outfield. And there's one guy, even though it's only 2 days since the game started, one guy is standing out already. That's Colin Cowgill. Another guy the Mets got from the A's. Boy, he's had that grittiness that Mets fans have been looking for.
I don't want to belittle what he's done so far. I mean, one of the great things about spring training when you bring a guy over from another organization, is he a guy that's going to really make an impact early? Well, he did, Cowgill. He caught the pitcher for the Washington Nationals sleeping. He took advantage of that and scored a run. He had a couple of hits yesterday, a couple of stolen bases. That extra speed is something the Mets certainly could use this summer.
You know, certainly he's already a candidate in center field as a platoon, but maybe he's trying to make it a little bit more, and he's got some pop, too. We've shown it there as well. So Cowgill and the Mets taking on the Nationals tonight. Gorgeous sunset, perfect night for baseball. First pitch is coming up in a moment. Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi. Citi cardholders have exclusive access to buy Mets single game tickets at Mets.com/Citi presale starting Monday at noon. By Toyota. Buy a Toyota right now and save big. To learn more, visit Toyota.com. By Delta and by Geico. Well, get to Citi Field Sunday, March 17th for the inaugural Metropolitan Lacrosse Classic presented by Konica Minolta and Newsday. St. Patrick's Day lacrosse action begins at noon as Navy plays Holy Cross and Michigan takes on Colgate. Visit Mets.com/lacrosse or just call 718-507-TIXX for tickets. Gorgeous night, Port St. Lucie, Florida. And the Mets will send these arms to the mound tonight. McHugh will get the start. Burke will be interesting later. He is the guy that was converted to sidearm last year and has a real good chance to make this team in the bullpen.
And I think also Scott Rice and Robert Carson, of course, the left-handers that are trying to make the ball club also.
So many arms trying to make the pen. Everyone being evaluated for Terry Collins, and Colin McHugh had that memorable first start with the 9 strikeouts against the Rockies and had struggles after that. So he's got a lot to prove. And on the other side of things, it's the 21-game winner, Ronnie, Gio Gonzalez.
Well, just outstanding last year. He's had an interesting spring, hasn't he, with the stuff that's happened down in Miami. But now has won 3 consecutive years, more than 15 games. Just a great talent.
He'll be playing for the Team USA in the World Baseball Classic tonight, pitching for the Nats. Sunset, smiles abound in spring training. Mets and Nats. We've got the first pitch coming up in a moment here on SNY. Now the starting lineup for the Washington Nationals, brought to you by Toyota. Well, that's not going to be the lineup on April 1st, I can tell you that. A lot of high prospects, though, for the Nats in that lineup, which we'll get to as we go along. Steve Lombardozzi seems to play in every spring training game, and he is here again, very valuable off the bench for Davey Johnson. Colin McHugh trying to make a statement, especially with Johan Santana, banged up a little bit here.
You know what's interesting about Colin, he was called up on August 23rd, is that most pitchers, depending on your standing on a team, can really work yourself into shape and get ready for the season. Well, Colin can't do that. He's got to throw all 4 pitches right off the bat. Defensively behind Colin this evening is Jamie Hoffman in left field, Cowgill in center, Marlon Byrd in right field. David, of course, playing third base. Brandon Hicks is short. We talked about Tejada out. Wilma Flores at second base, Ike Davis, and, of course, John Buck behind the plate.
As we're about to get underway, Yuri Perez, a center fielder tonight for the Nationals. He had quite the year last year. I mean, this is a guy that started off 2012 in rookie ball and actually made it for a September call-up with the Nats. So talk about going all the way through the system. He's got tremendous speed as the first pitch is outside, ball one from McHugh. Davey Johnson said one more year for the Nationals.
And he wants to go out with a bang. Already said that his team should be the favorite coming into this year to go to the World Series. We'll see about that in about 6 months.
Well, they certainly have a good team coming off a tremendous year. 98 wins. Of course, that heartbreaking Game 5 as McHugh has a strike. 2-1 to Perez to start things off. There's Ruben Tejada, who was in Terry Collins' lineup, batting in the 2-hole, playing shortstop, but in conditioning today. Has a big cut and a miss. In conditioning, Tejada, Terry Collins said he strained his quad. The Mets call it a right quad cramp. But as we said in the open, you know, it's concerning because this is an injury that caused him to miss 7 weeks, a right quad strain last year. So well, the Mets will keep their eye on Tejada. Hicks at shortstop instead. 2-2. Chance for Wright. Tough play, can't make it. And the speed of Perez is blazing. So Wright knew he had to barehand that one.
And you're right, Kevin. It really was the speed that made Wright try to field this kind of swinging ground ball, swinging bunt. It's a difficult play and wasn't able to come up with it. Not in mid-season form, but you know during the year, David usually comes up with that play.
David's turned into one of the best at that play in the league, as a matter of fact. Now we'll get a look at the second baseman tonight, Steve Lombardozzi. 384 at bats last year, 273, and really played everywhere. Outfield, second base. Flores, chance to turn two, easy. 4-6-3, double play.
Well, beautiful right here by Wilma Flores, who started his career as a shortstop, now over at second base. Hicks with a quick turn and no chance for Lombardozzi.
Number 10, the right fielder.
That'll bring up Corey Brown. Get a chance against McHugh. Well, Flores is interesting at second base, and this is a guy that the Mets are trying to find a position for. Ron, I mean, he's more you know, a third baseman than he is second, but there's a guy at third base going to be here for 8 more years, so they're putting him at second. Footwork is a concern, but so far he's shown you a couple things at second. You
know, he had 60-plus games in single A, 60-plus games in double A, hit about the same in both places with 18 home runs and 75 RBI. So, you know, you would love to see that power in your lineup.
And McHugh comes in and nicks Brown there.
Well, this is one of those where it just gets the blouse of the shirt here. Just nicks it just enough for Brown to take first base.
So the first walk issued by McHugh. That'll bring up the DH, Tyler Moore. And if you're tuning in wondering, wait a second, this is a National League game, why the DH? Well, you'll go a couple weeks with that until the manager's kind of very okay. Time to let the pitchers hit.
Well, after watching Curtis Granderson yesterday, I want my pitchers anywhere near the plate for a while.
That's true. Granderson's going to be out a long time. That broken forearm for the Yanks leaves them in dire straits. This one hit to left. I think it sounded better than it traveled, that's for sure. Hoffman puts it away, and the inning is over. So a good inning for Colin McHugh. Mets will come up next. Mets lineup for tonight presented by Geico. Colin Cowgill gets a chance not only at center but at leadoff, which is a strong possibility for him come opening day, so we will watch him. Jamie Hoffman, a guy of note in left field, and one of the kind of outskirts on the outfield competition, but I think he's got a real chance. He's got some power and speed, so we'll watch him when he comes up to face this guy. Gio Gonzalez, Ronnie, led the league, the major leagues that is, with 21 wins last year.
Oh, just outstanding season, the 21, but look at that ERA, 2.89, 207 strikeouts.
And he starts off Colin Cowgill upstairs, 4-1. Cowgill, as we talked about in the open, has really kind of opened some eyes around here. And he came here as advertised as a scrappy, run-into-the-wall type guy. We've already seen it. This one pounded in the ground to short. Walters can't find it, so Cowgill and his speed on at first. It's a play that Walters should make, though, but now we can see Cowgill on the base pass.
Well, that'll be an error on Walters. That ball comes up. You can see his head kind of came up, too. It didn't stay down on the baseball. Kicks it around. 6 times up now, Cowgill has got on base every time.
It's a good percentage. Cowgill has, in his major league career so far, which has been with the Diamondbacks and A's, you look at his stolen bases, and he's only got 7 steals, been caught 6 times, but this is a guy that was 80 for 98 stolen bases in the minor league, so he certainly has that part of his game. Brandon Hicks for the Mets at shortstop tonight. And this is inside and low. Hicks is a guy, another former Oakland A. It seems like Sandy Alderson raided his old club for some key parts, but Hicks, replacing the injured Ruben Tejada, again had that strained or right quad cramp. And he is a natural shortstop. At least that's what he was drafted as by the Braves.
Well, think about it this way. Sandy mentored Billy Beane. I'm sure that's not a hard call to make in the off season when he needs a part for his team. We've talked about the Mets trying to run more, trying to hit and run more. You'd love to do it here, 2-0 or 2-1 against Gonzalez, although he is tough to hit and run off because he doesn't throw as many strikes.
Inside there, and it's 3-0 to Brandon Hicks. Hicks acquired from the A's for cash this offseason, and he's got some power. I mean, he's been bouncing back and forth between the minors and the majors, but last year in 2011 he had 18 home runs each year, so in the minor leagues he can hit it out of the park. A 3-0 count here. Taking all the way for strike 1. Hicks originally 3rd round draft in 07 by the Braves out of Texas A&M. Came up as a shortstop, but Braves moved him to third base. That's a bad omen because they had Chipper Jones over there. Here he draws a walk, so good start for the Mets. First 2 on with nobody out.
Well, defense behind Gio, Rivero, Perez, Brown in the outfield, Skoll, Walters, Lombardozzi, and Marrero, who played in Saturday's game. Chris Marrero at first, and Chris Snyder, ex-Diamondback, Pittsburgh Pirate, behind the plate.
David Wright now with no one out, 2 on here in the home first inning. Chance to knock in a couple runs. Had that terrific season last year, rewarded with an 8-year contract with the Mets, and he's getting set to go play in the World Baseball Classic as well. Facing his teammate in that, Gio Gonzalez, says that one's blocked by Snyder. So Wright will probably play pretty deep in this game today, at least for the 3rd game of the season, spring training wise standards. He'll probably go 5, maybe 6 innings. Get some at bats to play in that tournament. He'll leave on March the 2nd. There's Wright's resume. 6-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glover. Should have been a 3-time Gold Glover last year.
That's right.
Chase Headley from the Padres won it at 3rd. And he hit the record books in so many categories last year. Hits, RBIs, runs, doubles. All belong to him. 1-1. There's a strike.
Well, with this new contract, he will at the end own every single record there is in the Mets book. Good pitch here by Gio Gonzalez. His first curveball on the 1-1 count.
1-2 to Wright with no one out in the bottom of the first. Mets threatening with 2 on. Cowgill, great speed at second. Wright hits this one high and deep to left. But the park is going to hold it as Rivero hauls it in. Cowgill alertly tags and goes to third. And now if the ball gets away, Hicks alertly goes to second. We talked about the base running, and that's alert play by Cowgill on a ball hit to the left side.
It's very interesting when you're watching players in spring training that are trying to make a ball club. They're as alert as you're ever going to be. Deep and on his heels is the left fielder. He throws the ball into second, so Cowgill takes third, and this bounces away from the second baseman. And by that time, Brandon Hicks alert, takes the extra base. Great base running.
You know, sometimes a manager could be here in spring training and run drill after drill after drill, Ronnie. But what is the effect when you have a player like Cowgill essentially run the drill for you out there on the field?
Yeah, well, he's a very aggressive base runner, and Brandon Hicks knows that. So when you're behind a runner who's very aggressive, you're always alert because you know he might be going. If they make the throw to third, I can go.
Now a chance for Ike Davis with 2 in scoring position. And takes that breaking ball way outside. You know, it's interesting, for all the bad numbers that people talk about Ike, and Ike is the first one to joke about it himself, you know, apologizing this offseason for his bad, you know, first month and a half, 2 months. He had 20 home runs in the second half of the season. That's the most for any first baseman in the league last year.
Well, he was very self-deprecating throughout that entire time. You know, really took it on himself. And I think, you know, when you play in New York, and I think it's one of the reasons that he's so well liked by Mets fans, he said, you know what, I know I stink. I'm going to be better.
Yeah.
Somehow I'm going to figure it out. And he did. No alibis for Ike.
Ahead in the count, 2-0 here. There's a strike. And, you know, it's interesting with the way the Mets played it. I mean, 2 similar cases. They sent Lucas Duda down in the minor leagues. They could have sent Ike Davis down a number of occasions. They did not. Ike obviously rewarded them, but then because of that, the Mets had to pay a bigger salary number this year because of their trust in him. 2-1 to Davis. And Gonzalez works the outside corner nicely.
The Mets would like to have a lot more of those problems where young players play well, so they have to pay them well. That'd be a good thing. But I think the great thing about Ike, and maybe the difference between him and Lucas, is he has an aura of confidence around him wherever he goes, whatever he does.
The 2-2. Oh, he got him. Gio Gonzalez has that great breaking ball, used it to his advantage there. 2 down.
Well, Ike worked into the 2-0 count. Then Gio threw a perfect pitch, fastball on the outside corner. And once he gets ahead of that curveball, almost unhittable, lefty to lefty. Starts right at the shoulders of Davis, and that ball is on the knees on the outside corner.
I mean, that moved 4 feet away from him. So Gio Gonzalez in midseason form. And after allowing the first 2 on, one with the error, one with the walk, now 2 down, RBI opportunity for Marlon Byrd. Byrd got off to a good start in his Mets career, getting a couple of knocks in the opener on Saturday. And, you know, it was very interesting because when he came to camp, you know, Terry Collins flat out said, you know, this is a guy that he basically put Byrd ahead in the right field competition before he swung the bat at all. Just kind of putting the onus on the former All-Star to get back to that 2010 season he had with the Cubs when he was outstanding. Gonzalez paints when it's 0-2.
Well, the thing about Marlon is that he's got some tremendous speed. He's a top flight outfielder. And like you said, when he had that year with the Cubs, he was just a guy that took some walks, put the ball in play, didn't try to hit home runs, which he was asked to do early in his career.
Breaking ball, good block by Snyder, has already showed some agility behind the plate. You know, if you're the Mets and you are, you know, what you are right now, you obviously have a lot of young guys, young pitching, very close, if not already here. You're looking for younger position players. You know, I would say normally the veteran with a track record is trying to prove that he still has it and has the advantage. Is that true here?
I don't know if anyone has the advantage. I'd be very hesitant if I were the Mets to give anyone a job on this team. Let's watch how it plays out. Who plays the best should get the job, because when you're a team that only wins 74 games, there's a lot of room for improvement.
Gio deals that breaking ball, and Byrd lays off to even the count at 2-2. It's one of those young guys going to be counted on heavily. Jonathan Neese.
He drove by me the other day in his truck. His truck is about 14 feet high. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was like one of those monster trucks.
John likes to hunt, so he needs the gear.
All right.
You know, 2-2. Bird stays alive. Talked about Wright, going to the World Baseball Classic and the fact that he'll probably play deep in today's game, trying to get some at-bats and get some endurance going. How about Gonzalez? I mean, normally pitchers at this point throw 2 innings and are out, but he's going to be starting baseball games in a little over a week. So curious to see how many pitches he throws tonight.
Well, it's going to be interesting, Kevin, is that it'll be almost a different kind of ball game because the World Baseball Classic, and when they have it, Justin Turner there, they're going to, even the starters will go only 2 or 3 innings.
2-2 to Bird.
I think you made a good point, though, for David to be in, close to game shape, because it only helps the Mets. They want him to be in great shape so he doesn't get hurt in the World Baseball Classic.
Good at bat by Bird. He lays off the high heater. Oh, Gunn had that at 90. Was that 97 from Gonzalez? Dialing it up here. Steve McCaddy, Nationals pitching coach, and a good one too. Payoff to Bird. He got jammed. Walters puts it away at short, and the inning is over. Mets get the first 2 on against Gonzalez, but Gio bears down to get out of the inning. Gorgeous twilight here on the east coast of Florida. We're through 1 scoreless. We're back in Port St. Lucie to see all the great shots. It is picture perfect outside. Temperatures in the high 70s. Nice breeze and great night for baseball. Just a 3rd spring game of the year, or 3rd day of games, I should say. Mets actually played 2 yesterday. 1 against the Astros, 1 against University of Michigan.
That's right. That's right. I saw a lot of folks driving to the ballpark with the big M on their back window.
So the Nationals' first baseman tonight, Chris Marrero. If you turn on the game and you're looking at the Nationals saying, wait a second, where are their players? Spring training is extra elongated this year because of the World Baseball Classic, and Davey Johnston has flat out said, yeah, there's going to be some games early I'm not going to play my guys. Plus, they've got Ryan Zimmerman and they've got Wilson Ramos and guys like that rehabbing still. So a lot of the high-end prospects here for the Nationals tonight.
There used to be a written, somewhat unwritten rule that when you went on the road, you had to have at least four starters in the lineup. And but that's gone by the wayside, I think, the last few seasons that I've been doing this job.
or at least it hasn't been enforced. Morero hits a bullet, and he's got himself a leadoff base hit for the Nationals. Here's what the real Nationals lineup should look like, and you can look at a lot of things here. I mean, that lineup is clearly loaded. But the top of the order, Ronnie, is where they've been dying to find someone for the last 3 years, and they went out and got the former Twin Denard Span to put him there.
It's interesting. If you look down the lineup, Bryce Harper now in that 5th or 6th slot, he hit mostly leadoff or in the 2nd position last year, so they're going to be wanting him to drive more runs in. But to have Desmond as their 7th place hitter, I mean, just real powerful lineup.
Where do you think Harper fits best as Carlos Rivero, the left fielder, steps in?
He'll be a 3rd place hitter at some point. Yeah, he's going to be a guy who, he doesn't walk that much, so he puts the ball in play a lot. But you envision him, when he maybe turns 22 or something, winning a batting title or being that kind of player.
'24-year-old Carlos Rivero. Chance for 2 if Wright can hurry. 2nd for 1. Here's the turn by Flores in time. 5-4-3 double play. McHugh's already gotten 2 double plays here tonight.
Boy, at times last year, you would watch this Mets team, and they would go a week without getting 2 double plays. Now, 2 in this game here. And Flores makes a nice adjustment. Not a great throw by Wright, but catches it in one hand, steps over the bag, and tosses it on to Davis.
The Mets are really hoping that Wilmer Flores can stick at second base. I mean, his quickness and his footwork has always been a question. There was some talk about putting him in the outfield, but the Mets have no interest in putting him there right now. And they play in the inter-squad game the other day where, as we look at Matt Skoll, who is a terrific power hitter, organizational player of the year for the Nationals last year, and he takes strike 1. It was a play in the inter-squad game, a line drive hit off the pitcher. Flores went right, had to stop real quick, come back left, and throw the runner out at first, and did. Emphatic call by James Hoy over at first. And Brian, that's what they're looking for. Yeah. Can he hang over there?
Well, the most difficult part for Wilmer is that he was not drafted, but signed when he was 16 years old, and he's developed into 6'3", 6'4", a very tall, big athlete for second base. So he's learning that position. But what he can provide offensively and getting a chance to play here with Daniel Murphy hurt for the first couple of weeks here in spring training.
McHugh's got Skoll 0-2. Breaking ball just outside.
I was saying before the game that Colin McHugh reminds me a little bit of Brian Bannister. Remember when he had that great spring training for the Mets a few seasons ago? Many seasons ago now, right?
Yeah, seems like just yesterday.
But the same kind of pitcher. Has to be able to get his breaking ball over, probably his best pitch, and spot his fastball inside and out.
This is a shot hitting the gap. It's going to settle in and all the way to the wall. Matt Skoll's got himself a 2-out double.
Well, they love this kid Skoll. You were talking about him, Kevin. He just has a tremendous swing. Look at that power. Uses his legs so well. They had a nice game yesterday from one of their top prospects, Anthony Rendon, who had a nice game with a home run. So more good players coming for the Nationals from their minor league system.
And the South Atlantic League last year, he had 343 at-bats at 27 home runs. I mean, for that league, it's a pretty big number. You don't see that often. You saw it there on that stroke. So a 2-out base runner for the Nationals in a scoreless game here in the top of the second. Pickoff play. Skoll back in. That's a play that the Mets have been working on. They had a drill solely for pickoffs twice this last week.
You'll see that a lot in spring training because you put it on because you're trying to work on it. And you can see McHugh knew that they didn't have a shot at him, so kind of made sure that he threw that ball to Flores.
Chris Snyder is the batter, the veteran catcher. 7 years with the Diamondbacks, 1.5 years with Pittsburgh, and then last year with the Astros. Good veteran catcher. And he gets to 91-mile-an-hour heat pass.
Well, fastball up. Snyder's always been one of those catchers that he'll never hit for a high average, but he's one of those guys, if you get into a 2-0, 3-1, 2-0 count, he can really hurt you with the long ball.
It's kind of the prototypical backup catcher, right? Call a good game, hit some home runs when you can. Fastball's high and outside.
Well, within the Mets division, probably the guy that's done it the best as a backup is David Ross for the Braves the last couple of seasons, and he's moved on now.
But he was a good player for Atlanta. I mean, that's a good loss for the Braves as Ross went to the Red Sox. They have Laird in Atlanta as their backup now. Gerald Laird to McCann. 1-1. That's outside. You know, Snyder, just to give you a turn of the times for him, he's been in this game for a while now at the major league level, and he's had big time back issues, a couple back surgeries, and this is a guy that used to do Muay Thai training. I mean, you know, talking about intense, you know, kickboxing, all that stuff. I saw him down on the field before. I was like, "You still doing that stuff?" He said, "Nah, I'm into yoga now."
Yoga.
Yeah, he likes the flexibility.
Yoga and Pilates, right?
Times have changed. Looks like he's in great shape though. 2-1, and McHugh catches the corner. Of course, now in spring training, everyone in the best shape of their life.
It's a 12-month job now. Never was like that in the day, and guys take it very seriously. I know there was an article in the Times about a couple of the Mets players who had jobs in the offseason, but most of the players now are they have people who cook for them and train them. Very serious.
Snyder lays off. Go to a full count with Skoll on second and 2 down.
This is where you want to be smart now. As the base open, Snyder's the kind of guy who's got some serious power. Just don't want to lay one in there. You want to make your pitch.
Howie's back. Howie and Josh, WFAN radio team. Snyder hits one a mile high to left. Is it going to carry deep enough? Not far enough as Hoffman hauls it in. Balls is not carried out of Tradition Field tonight, and that helps McHugh. 1.5 in the books in Port St. Lucie. We're scoreless. Checking in around the majors brought to you by Citi. We mentioned the Granderson thing earlier. That's a big issue for the Yankees, out 10 weeks with the broken arm, hit by a pitch yesterday. Well, Justin Upton hit his first home run of the spring. It was Dave Kingman-esque, 450 feet. All the Braves writers are tweeting about that one. And R.A. Dickey gives up a couple runs in a spring debut. Doesn't that hat look weird on R.A.? Yeah. It does not look right.
Well, to tell you a little bit about that Atlanta Brave outfield, Jason Hayward hit a home run. Justin Upton came up back to back, and then a batter made it out, and B.J. Upton hit a ringing double off the fence.
They've got some talents as we start the home second with Jamie Hoffman, the left fielder, taking a strike from Gio Gonzalez. How about the night shots of the Florida sky tonight by Bill Webb, our director, huh? Just great night.
Gio is throwing awfully hard tonight. I mean, I know the gun says 90 on that fastball, but the hitters let you know. And usually the hitters are a little behind the pitchers at this point. So even when they're thinking fastball, sometimes they're late. There's the shot you're talking about.
Full moon. Covered up by a couple of clouds. That's a shot. 0-2 to Hoffman. Gonzalez, of course, right in the mix for the Cy Young last year that went to R.A. Dickey. And I think rightfully so, but Gio had a terrific year. Did have more run support. Obviously, Dickey winning 20 games for a lesser team, and Gonzalez just blows away Hoffman. 93 on the fastball. He has his second strikeout tonight.
Again, Gio's been throwing a lot of the balls, pitches inside to the right-handed hitters of the Mets and tying them up.
Number 77, the designated hitter, Andrew Brown.
Andrew Brown, the designated hitter. Brown 1 for 3 with a double yesterday, and Corey Brown racing over. Nice diving effort, and he held on. What a catch in right field from Corey Brown for the second out.
Well, nice job by Brown, who was recruited as a wide receiver when he was coming out of high school, so has tremendous speed and makes that play.
Now batting number 44, the catcher, John Buck.
And the pitcher Gonzalez really appreciated the effort by Brown.
Gio Gonzalez looking sharp tonight. He had the walk in the first inning, a couple of errors around him too. A couple of strikeouts, throwing hard. He's got the breaking ball working as John Buck with 2 down takes that breaking ball for ball 1. Last year a down year for Buck, but he still gives you that power. Obviously he wants that average to be higher than that, but he is capable of hitting it out of the park and really to all fields at any time. Of course, Mike Pelfrey remembers that. His first game as a Marlin, popped a grand slam on opening day.
Well, the Mets got so little production. This Ross Ohlendorf for the Washington Nationals, well traveled now. Yankees, Pittsburgh. That they got so little production, especially in the power department from Josh Tolley and others last year, that opting here to, if you're going to get a lower average, at least the guy who can knock the ball out of the park occasionally.
1-2 to Buck. And Buck can do that. He's also drawn very high reviews, not only from the Mets coaching staff, but for pitchers early on, how he's gone about his business and handled them.
I think it's interesting. You know, he had a part to play maybe in Sean Markham signing here. He had one of his best years in Toronto throwing with John Buck. Brandon Lyon, who's going to be one of their better relievers, has known John since they were kids. So maybe played a small part in having those two talented pitchers come over here also.
Buck said he and Lyon used to have sleepovers. That's how good of friends they are. Payoff pitch. Oh, high strike. Buck didn't think so. He was ready to toss that bat aside and walk to first, but Gonzalez has his third strikeout. 1-2-3 for Gio. Scoreless for 2. Gio Gonzalez looked pretty sharp for his first spring outing, I'll tell you that. Was throwing hard, 3 strikeouts in 2 innings, and by the looks of that, he might be done. It's 35 pitches as he gets set for the World Baseball Classic. And it wasn't an easy month of January for Gio Gonzalez. I mean, he was linked in a Miami New Times report to Biogenesis, the anti-aging clinic in the Miami area. You know, this is a guy that's usually so affable, so friendly, and, you know, word around the Nationals is that he obviously was not the same when he came in. Of course, Gonzalez since has really had his name cleared. I mean, one report came out, said that he indeed did not get PEDs in that scandal, and then he came out, Gio did, 2 days later, and said, hey, I just took a test and I cleared the test. So but obviously it's another one of those ongoing situations. At least 25 players, either by name or nickname, listed in the Biogenesis documents in the Anthony Bosch diaries. But Gonzalez is clear. Flores flashing the leather, and Walters retired for the first out.
Well, you know, baseball keeps announcing that they've got this all under control. As we see Flores make another fine play to his left, that they've got this drug situation taken care of. Kevin used the word ongoing. It seems like there's a different story every single year. So obviously, we live in a culture where players, if they're injured or not, are looking for an advantage. And there's plenty of people out there that would love to take players' money and be in that market and be able to provide what some players would like to get an edge with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but how about if you're Gonzalez? You know, your name comes out in this report. And, you know, of course, everyone automatically assumes you're guilty by association, right? And he's got no one to clear his name, essentially. You know, I mean, no one's going to come out and say anything right now. It's an investigation. So, you know, he had to come out and say, hey, you know, I had this test done. I'm clear. And kind of an awkward situation for a player to be in, to kind of tell the world that, hey, I'm clean.
It's a difficult situation in the sense that if you're a player today, you've got to make sure that if anything smells fishy, you can't be a part of it. You can't be close to it. If I played today, I would make sure I had my own chef, cook, so there's no chance of anything being tainted or whatever. I think this is, you know, again, I go back to there's a culture out there where some players are just trying to get an edge or trying to get back on the field from an injury.
This is a tough play with Perez's speed, and Flores can't make it. Well, Yuri Perez, one of the faster players in the minors, and Flores just a hair shy.
Well, this is his game, Yuri Perez. He's going to hit the ball on the ground and use that great speed, and there's really nothing Flores could do. Eye on the baseball and then just lugging it out.
So Perez has a couple of infield singles tonight off Colin McHugh.
I don't know about you. There's nothing like watching guys who can run fast. It's fantastic.
Lombardozzi grounded into a double play his first time out. Perez is interesting because, you know, right now the guy that fills his role on this Nationals team is Roger Bernardino. I mean, Bernardino is a speedster. He's, you know, a guy that's certainly had enough experience, can play all the outfield positions. Perez is really that next guy, and will probably start the year at AAA, but he's probably close to being ready for that fourth outfielder, super speedster off the bench, that Adrian Chambers, if you will, that the Cardinals have had for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think the big sign, though, for the organization, the Nationals, that he wasn't quite ready is they went out and got Denard Span. Right. So, you know, Denard is a heck of a player, and Perez is going to have to go down and prove that, you know, he's ready to play out there every day.
There he goes, and Lombardozzi fouls it back.
Looked like a straight steal there, so it was interesting that Lombardozzi with the 1-0 count swung at a breaking ball from McHugh, but maybe Davey had the hit and run on. I want to see him try to steal because I want to see him run, but also want to see John Buck and his arm here early in spring training.
2-1 of the switch hitting Lombardozzi. Keeping Perez close.
These are the things you want to see from you young pitchers. Guys, do they have the ability? They know the base runner's fast. They have the ability to hold them close, give their catcher a chance.
Got a great jump and goes foul.
Boy, almost 5 steps. He's looking in, so let's run with Lombardozzi on that play.
Well, Perez is 219 minor league stolen bases, caught 62 times. James Hoy is letting you know.
Well, nice footwork by James Hoy. This is not an easy play. This ball is right at him. He's got to get out of the way of the baseball, but also keep his eye on it and make sure that it's inside the bag. And his call is, even though it hit the line before the bag, that it curled inside the bag foul. Nice call by James Hoy.
His work. So even though it's only the first couple of games of spring, he's got the footwork down. 2-2 to Lombardozzi.
And I think, you know, we minimalize that and we kind of make fun of the footwork by James Hoy. But unless you're on that field, you don't really realize how fast that ball is moving around. Gets on you in a hurry.
There goes Perez, breaking ball. Tap to left. Hoffman can't get there. It falls in. Perez going to come home, and he will score with that blazing speed. That's an RBI double from Steve Lombardozzi after a real good at bat. The Nationals on the board. It's 1-0 Washington.
Well, it might not always look pretty with Lombardozzi. He just puts this in front of the line here. But, you know, the relief pitchers, and I say this at least 3 times every spring training, you have to get out of the way. The ball is coming down there. Clear those chairs. Give your left fielder a chance to maybe make a play and hold Perez to third base. A little late movement there by the bullpen for the Mets.
I mean, not that Jamie Hoffman was going to get Perez anyway, but he did have to trample over 4 metal chairs to get the ball. So the Nationals on the board with a 1-0 lead, and Corey Brown is the batter. Time was called.
We'll usually get the manager or a coach to call down to the bullpen and say, hey, please break up that rock pile down there. There's Brandon Lyon.
Get to see him next. Throw to his good buddy John Buck. And now McHugh's trying to stop the bleeding. Corey Brown got some time with the Nationals last year. Hit .285 in AAA Syracuse. And then got into 19 games, 25 at bats. Brown was a big time football player in high school.
Russell Wilson for the Seattle Seahawks. He did pretty good going from baseball back to football, didn't he?
Kind of worked for him. What a year. Gio Gonzalez getting his work in, running on the track. You know, it's funny talking about Russell Wilson and his days playing baseball, which were not for long. Breaking ball. That's going to go foul, deep, but foul.
Who was he with? Colorado, Kevin?
With Colorado. Yeah. Josh Edgen faced him. And talking to Josh about Russell Wilson, he said, yeah, you know what? The times that we saw him, he didn't hit great. Yeah. The games we played against him, every time up against me, guaranteed hit. He said I could not get him out. It's outside. So the Nationals really making Colin McHugh work here. First, a good at bat by Lombardozzi for he poked in that double. Now 2-2 to Corey Brown.
You know, Kev, one of the things you want to notice with a pitcher early in spring training, if he goes to that third inning and a lot of the pitches are up in the strike zone, it tells you that he's starting to tire a little bit. And that's what it looks like to me with McHugh.
That's a base hit for Brown. And Lombardozzi will stop at third. The Nationals have something going. After the bloop double by Lombardozzi, a hard hit ball by Corey Brown, and Colin McHugh has come to the end of the line. Terry Collins will make the change. Brandon Lyon's going to come on in. So McHugh goes 2 1/3 for running into some trouble. See if Brandon Lyon can stop the bleeding. We come back. Brandon Lyon takes over for Colin McHugh after 2 1/3 innings, 42 pitches. And Lyon signed on the offseason by the Mets. Be a big part of the back end of that pen. Finds himself runners in first and third, one down, facing Tyler Moore. And his first pitch is a ball.
Well, Lyon provides you with some nice insurance in case Frank Francisco doesn't come back quickly. He's a guy that's had 26 saves in a season, 20 saves in a season. Has been a setup man many times in his career.
Cowgill can't get there even with his speed, and a run will score. Lombardozzi trots home, and it's 2-0 Washington.
Well, good pitch by Lyon. He jams Moore, but you have to really respect his power. 10 home runs and only got 150 plus at bats for Moore last season. Cowgill playing deep. Ball drops in.
Almost got there, did Cowgill. And so the Nationals up 2-0, still 1 out, still 2 on, and here's Chris Marrero. Marrero was the 15th overall pick for the Nationals back in 2006 and was really ascending up the organization. Had extremely high hopes for him. Good bat, good power. Lyon starts him off with ball 1, but he had a pretty bad hamstring injury. He tore his hamstring in winter ball in 2011, and the Nationals kind of figured that last year was almost a lost year for him. Tough coming back from that, so they're hoping that he can kind of get that stroke back. Corner infielder playing first base tonight. And a It's 2-0. That'll go foul. You talk about injuries, right? Make sure of it. Brandon Lyon had a pretty big injury too in 2011. He was with the Astros, and how about this double dose? A torn labrum and a torn biceps tendon. Wow. And that's big time to come back from. And last year came back for the Astros and then went over to the Blue Jays for signing with the Mets this offseason. Talked to him early in camp, says he feels great now, but that's two pretty big surgeries.
Especially later in your career when you've got a lot of appearances and a lot of innings. 34, the number chosen by Brandon Lyon. Mike Pelfrey was in that number.
Yeah.
Now with the Minnesota Twins.
2-1 to Marrero with 2 on. Davis and Buck. Buck falls and catches for the second out. That'll bring up the left fielder Carlos Rivero. Grounded into a double play his last time up. Nats with 2 runs in the inning, both charged to Colin McHugh, who got the start. Lyon trying to keep it at that. Ross Ollendorf will get in the game next for the Nats in relief of Gio Gonzalez. And there's a strike. Rivero is an interesting guy. This Nationals team is pretty set for the most part. They're looking for a lefty reliever, maybe one bench guy. This is a guy that's out of options. He was picked up off of waivers from the Phillies before last season. He had 303 in AAA last year. Nationals like him, but there's probably no room for him unless somebody gets hurt right now. And they don't think he'll pass through waivers when it's all said and done. He's playing for himself, and that'll help. Fair ball. Brown will score as Hoffman plays it in left. Moore will stop at third. It's an RBI double for Carlos Rivero, and it's 3-0 Washington.
Well, first pitch fastball for a strike, then tried to come inside. Looked like that was a changeup from Lyon that he left up in the strike zone, and nice hitting by Rivero getting that ball down the line.
So all 3 runs charged to McHugh in his 2 1/3 innings of work. Lyon just trying to get out of this inning as Elvin Ramirez will be next for the Mets. Meanwhile, the 8th man to the plate for the Nationals here in the top of the 3rd as Matt Skoll hit a ringing double his last time up.
I like this kid's approach to play. You know how you'll see a guy and first time you've really seen him hit and play. We saw him on Saturday, and now today you can just tell that this young man can hit. And how can you tell that? He just looks like he can hit. When you watch a guy, it's like watching Wheeler the other day and saying he can pitch.
Takes a strike. It's 0-2.
2 good pitches from Lyon there, both on the corner, outside first, then inside.
Saw Moore at third, Rivero at second. 2 down, 3-0 Nats in the 3rd. 0-2. Cowgill calls, makes the catch, and the inning is over. But a good one for the Nationals. They send 8 men to the plate. They put up a 3 spot and lead it 3-0 over the Mets. Veteran right-hander Ross Ollendorf in the game for the Nationals. We head to the bottom of the third, 3-0 Nats.
Well, you can see his stats from last year, that high ERA. Ollendorf started out in the Yankees farm system. Probably had his best year as a Pittsburgh Pirate a few seasons ago, trying to find his stuff again.
So Wilmer Flores will lead it off for the Mets in the home third. His first at-bat of the game. Hit a home run yesterday. Meanwhile, while Flores bats, Colin McHugh has put on the headset from the Mets dugout. Colin, it's Kevin and Ronnie upstairs. We thank you for coming on today. And just tell me about your performance. You come out today, it looked like you were sharp. Did you get a little tired there towards the end trying to find the zone?
Yeah, maybe. You know, I don't think tired this early in camp. You know, none of us are super tired, but I think just none of us are quite as sharp as we want to be. And that's, you know, that's to be expected at this point. I think a weekend for some of the guys, but yeah, I definitely wasn't sharp with my fastball today, and but we're working on things, and we're getting better every time out.
Well, we were talking about your first start with the Mets after you were called up on the 23rd of August, struck out 9 Colorado Rockies, went 7 innings, an amazing start. But watching you give a couple ground ball double plays today, that's more of your game more than the strikeout, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think when I'm going well, you know, my sinker's going pretty well, and today I missed quite a few spots, but the ones that I did get in there, the balls that I did sink a little bit, you know, we were fortunate enough to turn a couple double plays, which helped. But yeah, that's definitely more my game and what I'm working on.
Colin, we watched you throw in the inter-squad game the other day too, and you ripped off a couple nice curveballs in that game too. Is that a pitch? Obviously, you're throwing it, and you threw a bunch today too. Does it take time to harness the control of it for you, or is that something that right moment you walk in the door, you feel pretty good with that pitch? You
know, it's kind of a feel pitch. It is. Big breaking ball like that, they usually are. But I've been throwing it for so long that it kind of it comes back. You know, hopefully, I always say it's kind of like riding a bike that you never quite remember if you know how to do it until you get on it and start throwing it again. So for me, yeah, it's coming back. It's still in the process of getting that feel for it. But you know, the more I throw it, the better it'll be, the sharper it'll be.
You know, when you're called up for the last 5 weeks of the season, one of the great things is that paycheck every 2 weeks is a little better than it is in AAA. But what did you learn on the mound, interacting with your teammates, that you think will help you here in spring training to make this ball club?
You know, just the experience. You can't substitute for experience. And even though we had some up and downs last September, I think that just being able to get out there on the hill and places like St. Louis, places like you know, in New York and Milwaukee, be able to feel the atmosphere, know kind of what to expect with big league hitters, know what you can get away with and what you can't. You know, that's huge. And for me, I got to keep working on improving my game, and you know, hopefully we'll see what happens when camp breaks, but yeah, it's a great experience, and I'm trying to soak it all in.
What does that taste of the majors do to you as a ball player? You know, Colin, you come up, you have a little success. You know, what does that do for you coming in this year? I mean, does it make you as hungry as ever as Cowgill with a big sweeping swing, and he's down on strikes? So just that little taste. What does that do to you as a ball player?
Yeah, it makes you want to get back. It makes you want to get back there for sure. I don't think anybody who's been up in the big leagues at all really relishes the idea of going back to AAA or going back to the minor leagues. And so, yeah, for me, I want to be back there. From the second I stepped foot in New York, I realized, like, this is it. This is where I want to be. And so, you know, every day we're working to try and get back and try and you know, help the ball club any way we can. But you know, camp, we got a long way to go in camp, and you know, we're gonna keep getting better every time.
Brandon Hicks apparently wanted to end your interview, so Colin, we appreciate the time. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tom.
Mets are down in order in the third. Full moon. Nationals up on the Mets 3-0. Mets single game tickets for the 2013 season go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Get your tickets for Mets opening day, the Subway Series, and the rest of the All-Star season. Tickets start at $12 at Mets.com or by phone at 718-507-TIXX. New pitcher for the Mets is Elvin Ramirez.
Well, I will have to say the Mets really love this young man's arm, and at times great sinking action on his fastball. He'll have to be a little better with his changeup and breaking pitches here to be more successful in the big leagues.
And he'll start it off facing Chris Snyder in the top of the fourth. So Brandon Lyon goes 2/3 of an inning. No runs, although he did allow a couple of hits. Those runs charged to Colin McHugh. And now it's Ramirez who starts off Snyder with strike one. Snyder hit a pretty good shot to left field that was caught on the track by Hoffman. The ball not carrying out tonight. It was carrying pretty good on Saturday, by the way.
Yeah, well, he hit a home run on Saturday on a similar swing. But like you said, the ball was being carried out of the field on Saturday.
You know, the Nationals might be the norm. They have about 75,000 catchers in the organization. They showed it last year because they had a lot of injuries. You see a slight zephyr on a real strong wind. But Snyder's a good guy to have. He's a good major league catcher. And, you know, they're trying to nurse Wilson Ramos back to health. They've got Kurt Suzuki, who'll probably be the opening day starter if Ramos isn't there. Here's a strike. Elvin Ramirez is 25 years old. He was signed by the Mets out of the Dominican Republic in '04 as a free agent. And the one thing when you talk about scouts who watched him, they were surprised that his control completely lost him when he got to the major league level. I mean, he had 20 walks in 21 1/3 innings, which is obviously way too high.
Just, I think, simply for Elvin last year, Kevin, when you would watch him throw when he was struggling with his control, it really was just overthrowing for Elvin. So, you know, with confidence, he's going to have that ability to, you know, take a bigger part of that strike zone, especially early in the count.
You talk to some people who watched him, and, you know, obviously Dan Worthen is aware of this. He's got a 2-2 now. You know, this is a guy that had good control. I mean, you look at he split time between AA, AAA. And in the 41 games, he had a 2.13 ERA in AA and AAA. You know, threw hard, good control. As we look, and here's the thing: what people told me, Ronnie, is that, and probably what you said about the overthrowing in the minors, his head would be more upright. When he came up here, his head was almost tilted off to the side, and they feel like that affected his mechanics and control.
Well, unless you're a very unusual pitcher, almost the ball's going to go where your head goes. So it's very important to try to get your head to go straight at the plate, not have it drifting towards first, not yanking it towards first or third base. And I think that's what happens with Elvin. How he generates a lot of his power is really yanking that head away and arm away, what he needs to do, because it's one of the pitchers who throws really completely over the top.
Wright has time with Snyder running, and he gets the first out for Ramirez.
But you see that with a lot of pitchers, is that, you know, how they generate power is that really they have that snapping of the head late. You know, with confidence, you start to really not do that. And if you have that head going straight to the plate, you're more apt to throw more strikes.
You know, everyone talks about Jeurys Familia as, you know, the flamethrower, the young guy who's close for the Mets, and maybe he could be a future closer. But they really think almost as highly of Ramirez. He's just been quiet, and because he struggled a little bit more last year, but he throws hard, and he's got the tools if he can straighten out that control. Zach Walters, the switch-hitting shortstop now, and there's a strike. And it's quickly 0-2. Well, let's take a look at this Mets pan and some of the right-handed options. Some of the younger guys, too, you see on that list are intriguing. Mejia, we know about him. Robles, it was in Brooklyn and dominated last year, but he's here in camp. Carlos Torres, Hart, cutter, former Rocky. Burke, the side armor. Brandon Lyon, Hefner's almost been the quiet, forgotten guy. Forget about how important he was last year. There's a lot of arms that Terry Collins has to look at in this spring camp.
Well, it's a nice blend of veterans and young pitchers. I think that's a good thing. And, you know, this day and age of bullpens, they're so interchangeable. A guy could be having a great year one year and then a bad year the next. So you never know where you're going to have these pitchers in your bullpen. Rafael Montero had a good outing yesterday. He's got a great arm. 2 perfect innings for the Mets.
Yeah, they love him. He started in St. Lucie last year. Will be in Double-A Binghamton this year. 1-2 to Walters, and he gets him on the fastball. So Ramirez has his first strikeout, 2 down.
Well, we were talking about it, how he can be overpowering. That late swing from Walters there on that running fastball from Ramirez.
You see the Mets pen. You know, look, they tried to revamp the pen last year. It just didn't work. And that happens, you know. Trade for Ramirez, which Mets thought was a coup at the time, and it backfired. And then Roush coming over. Roush actually had a pretty good second half for the Mets, but had his falters early. And so they try again. The Mets have, I think what's good about it, Rodney, you touched on it, a good blend of young, hard throwers. But look at the veterans they have in this camp now. We saw a line already. LaTroy Hawkins, who is ageless. This kid keeps doing it no matter where he is. And then Scott Atchison, what everyone loves about him, he's a strike thrower.
Yeah.
He's not going to put you on, and he was good for the Red Sox.
You know, the only thing that they're missing is we saw one of those numbers. You know, that's 7.7 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Yeah.
What was that, 14th or 15th? You want your pen to be a little more dominant than that late in games.
Wright knows he's got to hurry, but it goes foul. We've already seen Perez's speed plenty in this game. He's got 2 infield singles.
David said he wasn't going to take a chance throwing it over there anyway.
Somewhat disturbing to see the digital Carlin and Shine faces on your screen when you know.
A little ironic that Loudmouth's advertisement is quiet.
0-2 Ramirez, another tapper. Do you believe this? Ramirez will try his hand. It's unbelievable. 3 infield hits for Yuri Perez. Well, I guess when the scout said he's got plus speed, they weren't kidding.
Well, he's hit the ball now 3 times, a total of 220 feet, and it's got 3 hits. Very good.
Now batting number 1, Steve Lombard.
Hardest part is he didn't hit that ball off his foot. The ball just died.
You know what? A hit's a hit.
That's right.
That's for sure. He's been on base 3 times, and here's Lombardozzi, who doubled him in the last time. He's got an RBI double. 1 for 2 to his credit tonight. Let's see how Ramirez holds on a runner. How exactly do you practice in spring training holding on a runner? I mean, how do you simulate that?
Well, you would hope by the time you get to this level, unless you're a 19 or 20-year-old kid who is still green behind the ears, that would have been taken care of a couple of years ago, that you'd know how to hold runners on. I think the key for pitchers in spring training is to vary your routine to the plate. So make sure that you go quick one time.
Perez going. Buck will see his arm, and no chance. Perez speedy.
Well, that's what we talked about. We wanted to see him steal and see what John Buck could do. Gets a great pitch to throw, almost like a pitch out, but didn't get a lot behind that. And just a great jump by Perez. He's had an entire game already. It's the 4th inning.
It's unbelievable. Guy's been on base 3 times, scored a run, stolen base, creating havoc in the Nationals' 3-0 lead here in the 4th. Elvin Ramirez now. See if he can get out of it. 1-0 to Steve Lombardozzi. Switch hitter out of St. Petersburg College.
I didn't know they had a lot of baseball in Russia. That's pretty good to come all that way.
So much so the Nationals picked him in the 19th round. So they had scouts at the Kremlin.
I played against his father, who was an awfully good ball player in his own right. Shortstop his father was. I think he was on the Minnesota team that won in '87, I believe.
1-1. And that's a base hit. So it'll be interesting at the plate. Bird showing off the arm. Davis cuts it off. So Perez scores, and Davis cut that throw off. And it's 4-0 Washington.
Well, another run driven in by Lombardozzi. You can see Bird gets to it pretty quick, but the high throw, even though Ike should probably be able to make that play and get Lombardozzi at second base, but just off the end of his glove, there's really was going to be no play at home because of the speed of Perez.
Last spring training, Davey Johnson, at the beginning of spring, could not rave enough about Steve Lombardozzi. And we saw last year why. A guy plays everywhere, comes in clutch spots. Seeing a little bit of that tonight. Corey Brown, the batter. Zelvin Ramirez gives up his first run.
I talked about it a little bit on Saturday. Davey loves to use his bench, and he wants a guy who can play many positions. On the 80s teams, we had Kevin Mitchell, who played a lot of positions. A different player, of course, than Lombardozzi. But Tyler Moore had a great year for them last year. 15% of their at-bats were by the Goon Squad, which is their bench, or what they called themselves last year.
I mean, geez, Tyler Moore, who's on deck at 10 homers at 156 at-bats. That's quite the weapon to bring off your bench as we see Tyler.
Chad Tracy, really a strong bench. And Davey Johnson, when he first came to the Nationals, I remember him commenting. I said, you like your team? He said, I don't like my bench. We've got a lot of, backup infielders. Those are the guys you don't want on the bench. You want one of those guys, but the rest of the guys that come out, you want them to be able to deliver some hits.
See Davey in his career. And as we said earlier, this is his final year. The 2012 Manager of the Year last year, by the way. Third year with the Nats, second full season. Remember, he took over for Jim Riggleman, who stepped down in 2011 after a 38-37 record.
Well, they swept it last year. Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Executive of the Year, Mike Rizzo. Of course, the Rookie of the Year was Bryce Harper.
Interesting note about the Nationals. They are just the 5th club since 1900 to post 3 straight seasons with at least 10 more wins than the previous year. Constant improvement. 10 more than 98 will be pretty hard to do, but wouldn't put it past them. 2-2, and he'll go around. Buck will fire on to first, and that'll do it. So Zelvin Ramirez averts further damage. He gets Corey Brown, but the Nationals on the board. They lead at 4-0. not Port St. Lucie. That is downtown Miami, where the Mets will be soon enough to face the Marlins. Just about a couple-hour drive south here on the Treasure Coast. 4-0 Nationals lead the Mets. We go to the home fourth inning, and David Wright leads it off. Wright flew out to left in his first at-bat. Should get at least 3 at-bats today, getting ready for that World Baseball Classic. Corey Brown will retire Wright for the first out. Look at that skyline shot. It looks inviting. Looks like just want to go down and take a nice boat ride.
Well, I figured if we had a quick game here, Kevin, you and I take a ride down to the Fontainebleau for a couple of hours.
That would be fine. Stay over, hit the beach in the morning, and come back and watch Mets baseball.
I don't think you get any different than Miami and Port St. Lucie. It's about as different as you can get.
Not quite on the same page. Ike Davis is the batter now. By the way, my expense report from the Fontainebleau rejected from last season.
They didn't even take it.
Davis struck out his first at bat on a wicked curveball from Gio Gonzalez. But Davis puts a charge into this one, deep into the Port St. Lucie night, and it's gone. Halfway to Miami for Ike Davis with his first home run of the spring, and the Mets are on the board.
Ike is one of those rare hitters that as soon as he makes contact, you know it's going to be a home run. It's just how far it's going to go. He almost cleared that back fence, which is 40 or 50 feet past the center field fence.
He's got to, sometimes that sound off his bat is just different as Bird takes a strike. Let's check this out.
You know, to me, he's got anti-City Field power. What does that mean? It doesn't matter when he plays City Field, because if he connects, it's out of any ballpark.
I mean, it sounded like he hit that with Thor's hammer. I mean, that was just crushed.
You know, Dave Hudgens, the hitting coach, said with coming to spring training, not having to deal with the Valley fever, coming off an ankle injury, working on baseball things all winter, that Ike's going to have a huge year.
Meanwhile, Bird in the hole 0-2, and Ollendorf is high with a fastball. I mean, he's that guy right now in the lineup that gives you that. I mean, the Mets are hoping there are more guys like that. They're hoping that obviously Buck can be that way, that Duda can be that way, but Davis is that one guy that just scares the daylights out of you if you're a pitcher. I mean, that's the example. It's a huge threat. 1-2, and Bird goes down on strikes.
Well, good breaking ball here from Ollendorf. Well placed. It's almost a throwback when you watch his motion. I was thinking of Paul Bird, who pitched about 5-6 seasons ago, had an old-fashioned windup. Ollendorf does also. Princeton University, of course. His senior thesis was on Rule 5 drafts. 140 pages on that.
The Washington Nationals, you can make the argument, may now have the smartest AAA pitching staff in the history of the game, because they just signed our buddy Chris Young to a minor league deal. So you've got Ivy League power to the second degree.
Yeah, 2 Princeton guys, and March 9th, Chris Young is going to take the mound for Davey Johnson and the Nationals.
Chris Young has Hoffman to short. Walters puts him away, and that'll do it. We'll talk more of Chris when we come back. For now, though, the Mets are on the board thanks to the power of Ike Davis. We're through 4. The Nationals lead at 4-1. Davis representing long ball time. 4-1 Nationals lead the Mets top 5 from Port St. Lucie, Florida. And Lucas Duda has had a tough start to the spring. 0 for 7, 6 strikeouts. Not in the lineup tonight. Terry Collins explained why.
Lucas is not going to play today or tomorrow. He and I had a long talk today, and he's just not ready to play. Due to the wrist injury, he was just not been able to get the amount of reps in the cage that he normally does to feel comfortable. And I'm not here, as you guys know, I'm not here to embarrass anybody. And so when he's ready to play, we're going to get him back in there. I'm hoping that by Wednesday or Thursday, he's back in the lineup.
So Duda is out for a couple of days. And, you know, Ronnie, as I said, if it 0 for 7, 6 strikeouts, is that a reason for concern of 2 games? No. But there's a lot here. There's a lot of pressure on Lucas Duda. I mean, Terry Collins basically said, hey, he's our left fielder. Mets are counting on him for production. What did he do in the offseason? He broke his wrist moving furniture. He's got a completely new batting stance, which he's been working on since he got here, not comfortable with it. And now Terry says he's not ready to play. I'd say that's an issue.
Well, you know, the one thing I will say is going in is that Lucas Duda during the season, they will tell you no one takes more swings before a game. No one tries to get himself ready for a game with more kind of repetition does Lucas. So maybe he doesn't feel like he can do that, which will put him in a better place as Ramirez dots the fastball at a strikeout or more. That being said, you got to watch yourself if you're in a position of Lucas Duda. You're trying to win a job here, and you know, it's a long spring training. So yeah, you can take a day here or a couple of days here to make sure you get ready. But you know, this job isn't, you know, going to be there for him unless he has a good spring training. And I think it's very important for him to have a strong spring training and play a lot. And I'm sure starting Wednesday that'll happen. But you know, I know that they've said they want him to be the left fielder. They want him to hit for more power. That's a lot of wants, you know. And if other people come in here, Neuenhuises, Cowgills, Birds, Baxters, et cetera, you know, it's going to be the ones that perform best that are going to go north.
Meanwhile, 1-1 to Chris Marrero after Moore went down on strikes. As we play in the 5th, 4-1 Nationals. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Lucas. I mean, the Mets need a power guy, and you know, all the talk last year is Lucas says, you know, hey, I'm better when I'm going the other way, and the power just comes. That may be true. Reality is the Mets need him to hit 25 home runs if they want to score.
Well, there's a couple things working here. One, it's only a couple games, so
sure,
it's not a big deal. But
sure,
the thing that is underlying that is interesting to me is that they've revamped his entire swing. Scott Rice, you see, he's getting ready. They've revamped his whole swing. So they've taken out the big leg kick. They've taken out the toe tap. They're trying to, you know, reduce all those moving parts. And you know what? If a player gets off to a slow start, you start to question whether those are the right moves.
Meanwhile, Hicks trying to recover at short. Can't do it. So Marrero reaches on the bobble by Hicks.
Well, we saw this with Walters earlier, that the ball, I wouldn't say that Brandon Hicks let that ball play him. He just got an in-between hop, a tough bounce, kept it in front of him, and almost still had to play at first base. But the good hustle by Marrero.
Yeah, it didn't take the greatest of hops, but they scored as an error.
These fields aren't the big league fields. So, you know, you've got to be, you're going to get some bad hops.
I did see Tommy out here dragging the field about 6 a.m. But
nothing against
I feel what you're
Tommy.
saying.
Yeah, he doesn't always do his best work at 6 a.m. So maybe 10 a.m. tomorrow.
By the way, I definitely was not here at 6 a.m. Just so you know, not with a 6 p.m. game. Carlos Rivero, the left fielder, is the batter. Rivero's got an RBI double to his credit. You get a complete recap of tonight's Mets Nationals Grapefruit League matchup, plus up-to-the-minute news, opinion, and exclusive video straight from camp on Mets Blog, presented by Verizon as part of the SNY.TV blog network. Colin McHugh started this game for the Mets, 2 1/3, 3 runs charged to him, 6 hits, no strikeouts, no walks. Brandon Lyon came on in relief, went 2/3 of an inning. This is the second inning for Elvin Ramirez. Allowed a run last inning. Has struck out 3 batters so far. and it's 1-2. We told you about the Duda news. He's day to day, not with an injury, just with more essentially practice. If you just tuned into the broadcast, Ruben Tejada was the injury news tonight. He was slotted in the 2-hole of this lineup, set to play shortstop, and the Mets went out to condition at about 2 o'clock and do the normal running and routine like that. Tejada felt what the Mets called a right quad cramp. Terry Collins used the word strain in his pregame meeting with the press. And normally this is no big deal, and it might be no big deal. I'm not trying to make it one, but you have to go back to last year when Tejada missed 44 games because of a right quad strain. So it's certainly at least a little bit troublesome. So that was the Met news coming out of today. Frank Francisco also played toss today. This is not coming from any pitching coach. I don't think he's anywhere near ready to get on a mound yet. We'll see. I did not stick around for Frank's comments, but he did get out there and throw the baseball, which is a step forward. He's got that elbow inflammation. And then Johan Santana is the other obvious concern. Sandy Alderson saying the other day, pushed back till from March 2nd, somewhere the week of March 10th. He went out and threw long toss today, but no mound work for Johan, no real specific time when that's going to happen. 2-2 to Rivera with a runner on, 1 down here in the 5th.
Well, Kevin, 2 weeks for a pitcher. I'm assuming, not assuming, but let's say that he doesn't begin till the middle of the month. 2 weeks gives you about 3 appearances. So you can go 2 innings, 3+ innings, 5+ innings. So it can get you ready for the season. I don't know if it's going to get him ready for opening day. That'll be, he might be the 5th or 6th guy out of the chute to give him an extra week.
Ramirez with the gas, and he's got his 4th strikeout. Rivera goes down, 2 outs. And Terry Collins out. And Ramirez may have reached his limit. You see 36 pitches.
It's not as much the limit as that you want to bring Scott Rice in here to face Skoll, the left-handed hitter. It's within a game having a lefty against a lefty and seeing what he can do.
Meanwhile, 4 strikeouts for Ramirez. Showed you some good things in that work. Here comes Rice with 2 down and the power hitter up next. Scott Rice comes on, the lefty, trying to earn a spot in this Mets bullpen. He comes on to a situation with a runner on, 2 down, and the big power hitting Matt Skoll is the batter for the Nationals. Guy who lit it up in single A with 27 homers last year, and he takes strike 1.
Scott Rice from Simi Valley and outside of Los Angeles. 6'6", 225 pounds, first rounder of the Baltimore Orioles in 1999, and probably his best chance now late in his career to make a big league ball club is this spring.
He's got a sinker ball to his repertoire. And he gets that ground ball. Chance for Flores, inning over. So Rice comes on, faces the lefty, gets him out. He does his job. Mets need some offense. It's 4-1 Nationals. Wholesale changes for the Nationals as we head to the home fifth inning. So they move some guys around. Matt Skoll goes from third to first. Anthony Rendon, highly touted prospect, now in at third. Lombardozzi out of the game at second. Mike Taylor is in center field now. So the Nats changing it up, but Ross Ohlendorf remains on the mound, and Andrew Brown hits one. Ohlendorf with the fielding, nifty.
What a play by Ohlendorf. It looked like he was going to let the third baseman make the play and then decide at the last minute, I'm going to make it. And just like an infield, this is a 6'6" man making that play to first base. Very nicely done.
It was graceful from the 30-year-old. One down as Brown is retired. That'll bring up the catcher, John Buck. Buck struck out in his only at bat tonight.
Now batting number 44, the catcher, John Buck.
Well, John Buck wearing number 44, which Mets fans know in the last couple of years has belonged to Jason Bay, and Jason busted it out there just as hard as anyone, and because of that got hurt a couple times, couple concussions, and let's face it, never produced offensively at all. So what does he do? He goes to the Mariners, his hometown team, in the offseason, and in his first spring training at bat hit a 2-run home run the other day.
I did notice that.
I mean, you can't even make it up. It'd be interesting to see Jason. I think everyone really respected for how hard he played and how hard he tried and how honest he was in his struggles with the media. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone sit there and just be as honest as he was dealing with his struggles. But Is it for Bay, was it just simply that he was to the point where he's coming near the end of his career, or simply things didn't go well for so long, had a couple of concussions, playing hard on defense, and a change of scenery is great, and maybe he regains his stroke?
Well, that is going to be the key, is he's going to have to try to see if his career has any life left in it. You know, it certainly didn't in New York for, you know, a lot of reasons. The injuries you mentioned, changing of his batting stroke, going back to the original batting stroke. There was a lot of interesting things that happened with Bay, and you know, I think you alluded to it, Kevin. Everyone wishes him well, of course, as he moves on, and I think he lives outside the Seattle area, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So maybe being home will help.
3-2 to Buck, who takes a hefty cut and fouls it back. And we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, both with Gio Gonzalez and David Wright, who we'll talk to later in the program, by the way.
All right.
Both guys going to play for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. Nationals are losing 2/5 of their starting rotation. Ross Detweiler, the number 5 starter, who had a very good year last year, also going. And, you know, Davey Johnson, of course, was the manager last time for Team USA in that Classic. This year it's Joe Torre, another 3-2. And Buck draws a walk. John Buck thought he had a walk the last time, but took a high inside pitch for a strike. That time does draw the walk. So he's on first for Wilmer Flores. Here's his Nationals rotation. It's a bunch of studs. Let's face facts. And they go outside Danny Herron, who comes off an off year for him, but who was just a strike thrower, a real good pitcher. A guy who never gets hurt, although he did last year for the first time.
Well, you know you have a good starting rotation if Danny Herron can be your 4th or 5th guy.
I tell you, it's a good move. Wilmer Flores flew out to right his first at bat. One of the higher echelon Mets position players who Terry Collins really interested to watch. And you know, I don't think this is going to be a guy that's going to break camp with the team. I think this is going to be a guy you're going to see this year at some point, though, just because injuries occur.
So 66 games, I believe. No, 64 games in Single A, 66 in Binghamton. See Matt Dendecker on deck. Do you? I would think that Flores would start in AAA this season.
Yep.
See what he can do in AAA.
Out there in the thin Vegas air. This one popped to right. Destin Hood, his first opportunity since coming in. Hauls it in for the second out. But on the World Baseball Classic, on that topic, Davey Johnson was asked earlier today, hey, you know, I mean, how do you view this? You're losing 2/5 of your starting rotation. Do you worry about getting hurt? Things like that. Davey classified it as a very constructive experience. He said, you know, for these pitchers, you see very good hitters from all around the world, and you get to represent your country. But I wonder if all managers feel the same way that Davey does.
Well, I think the reason Davey feels like that is that I think every, you know, Joe Torre is going to be the manager of the ball club. No one knows more than Joe Torre about making sure that he's careful with these pitchers. I don't think any manager of a team in the World Baseball Classic wants to be the one that a young pitcher gets hurt or even an older pitcher gets hurt. So, like I said, it's going to be a different kind of game because your starter is going to go 2-3 innings the most. It's going to be more like an all-star game, Kevin. Way it's managed.
Matt Dendecker, his first at-bat tonight, 0 for 1, takes inside. You know, it's funny, if you look at Dendecker and Nieuwenhuis together, and they've kind of been paired together a lot until last year when Nieuwenhuis got to the majors. Dendecker struggled in AAA. Boy, they look a lot alike. Yeah. I mean, Dendecker grew his hair out now. They're pals. They walk together. They're very similar. Both center fielders, but Dendecker's got a little catching up to do on the field. Takes a strike. It's 1-2.
Well, you know, Keith mentioned it on Saturday, is that you've got a lot of players here for the Mets that have talent, but they haven't proven that they can hit at the higher level. And that's what's going to keep you in the major leagues. You've got to have such great tools if you're not a great hitter.
Check swing as he go around. He does, and that'll do it for the 5th. So Ohlendorf, the strong outing, allows the home run to Ike Davis, but he strikes out Dendecker. Look at the bright side. After this, you can always go take a cruise. Well, that one looks a little disco-ish. Travis d'Arnaud in to catch for the Mets. Met fans anxious to see him. Some changes. Reese Havens out at second base. He'll get an opportunity. Kirk Neuenhuis goes into left. This is interesting. Neuenhuis to left and Matt Den Decker in center. Scott Rice came on to get the final out of the last inning. Will stay in for the top of the sixth, and he'll face the righty Chris Snyder to start things off. And he'll deal a strike. You know, Den Decker is a guy who everyone says just terrific out there defensively in center. But, you know, Ronnie, we saw Kirk Neuenhuis last year, and in left, didn't have the same comfort level. In center, he, I thought, was terrific in center field. Colin Cowgill, of course, started this game in center field. A couple of at-bats for Colin, and then taken out to get the young guys some looks. Wright's getting a long look. This is a guy that's got a real chance at a lefty reliever, and it's outside 1-2. And also of note for the Mets, if you missed this news, is Pedro Feliciano, who I think when you look at this Mets bullpen, it's kind of felt that Josh Edgin is a real good chance to make this team.
A lock.
So then you're looking at another lefty, which Terry Collins is certainly open to, and I think early on you would think the advantage would be Pedro Feliciano if he's healthy, a guy that is terrific against lefties. He's a specialist where Edgin is not. Well, Feliciano has a heart irregularity as Gonzalez Herman is warming up to come on next. And he's got no activity for the next 2 weeks, wearing a heart monitor. Feliciano told the press he has a hole in his heart. Sandy Alderson said maybe it's not exactly what it is, but concern. I mean, and now the reality is that puts Pedro, in the back burner for now.
Well, it's not only that. Pedro hasn't pitched in the last couple of years, so he could have used these innings here in spring training. But don't forget, the Mets have set a precedent here, especially under Terry Collins, that they're not afraid to leave camp with one left-hander. They've done it many times in the past. So
certainly not a must. I mean, it is an option. 2-2 to Chris Snyder as Rice deals, and he caught the corner, strike three. So Scott Rice has his first strikeout. That'll bring up Zach Walters, and we bring in Colin Cowgill from down in the Mets dugout. Colin, it's Kevin and Ronnie upstairs. We thank you for putting on the headset tonight, and you have made quite the impression in only a couple of days. We heard when you got here, this guy that hustles all the time. And do you have to almost make sure you're doing it extra special when you come to a new team and you're trying to make this squad?
I mean, I don't think you have to do anything extra. I think the most important thing is be yourself and not try to do too much. And that's what I've been trying to do since I've been here, is just kind of be myself and go play the games and stay relaxed. And not to put too much pressure on myself or do anything out of the ordinary, but just kind of let the game come to me rather than go get the game.
You know, Colin, when you change organizations a couple of times, you come to the spring training, and the Mets, of course, have a clear and distinct way that they like to take their at-bats. Is that something you take some of that in that might work for you, but you still try to stay true to how you view yourself as a player?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to listen to what the skipper says all the time too, and you know, you try to play as hard as you can for him, and if he wants you to do something, you do it. And you know, when Goody tells me to do something in the outfield, I do it. And when Hudges asks me to make an adjustment in the plate or at the plate, you know, you do that too. So even though you change organizations, you're still the same guy. You came up with the same skill set, and they might want you to do a little something different here and there, but ultimately you're the same guy. You just, you know, kind of try to model yourself around what these guys want you to do.
You mentioned it. Have they asked you to make specific adjustments, whether it's in your outfield play or your hitting so far?
No, not yet. I think it's still a little too early. I think they're just kind of trying to learn me and learn how I go about the game and my outfield preparation and my approach at the plate. I'm sure there's adjustments we're going to make here in the next couple of weeks, but I think they're just kind of feeling me out, and I'm kind of doing the same thing, seeing what they want from me, and like I said, whatever they want me to do, I'm going to try to do the best I can.
You know, there's been a lot of people describing you in the paper what your skill sets are. If you had to give a description to Mets fans, what kind of player are you?
I mean, I guess just kind of a grinder. I mean, I try to grind on at bats and be aggressive on the bases, at the plate, in the outfield, but at the same time, don't try to make something out of nothing. You know, kind of take what the game gives me, what the pitcher's dictating, but at the same time, just, you know, trying to be aggressive and kind of, you know, don't force it, but try to make something happen when I can.
You know, Colin, you tag up on a ball to left field from second to third, and Terry Collins has made it ever so clear, at least to us in the media, that, you know, the base running, you guys have got to find a way to manufacture runs. The chance to get two, maybe. Flores got him. Double play is turned. Oh, some good luck, Colin. Can you hang on so we can talk to you when we come back?
For sure.
All right, we'll keep Colin Cowgill with us. Nice double play by the Mets. We're back. Nationals up 4-1, middle of the sixth. Nathan Carnes is the new pitcher for the Nationals. We head to the home sixth inning and a 4-1 national lead. Carnes, a former 12th rounder out of Texas Tech in 2009. We'll get to see him in his power stuff, facing Brandon Hicks to lead it off in the sixth. Mets trailing the Nationals 4-1. We keep it with Colin Cowgill, who had some good luck as the Mets turned a nice double play. Colin, thanks for staying through the break with us. I think where we left off, though, is before the double play. I was trying to ask you about the base running. Terry Collins has talked about, how imperative it is for you guys to do everything you can, first to third, try and manufacture runs. So you go from second to third on a ball hit to left. Is that type of play catching, do you think? I mean, do you think when you do something like that, or like the other day when you scored from second on that ball in the infield, do you think that guys see that and it's kind of a catching thing?
I mean, I think we have a lot of guys that have those instincts anyway. But I do think that Terry he gives up a lot of freedom out there. I mean, if we run into a mistake or we make a mistake out there, it's not a big deal. He wants us to err on the aggressive side. But I think it's definitely, we have guys with that mentality. Everybody's going to do that. I don't know if it's going to, if it's catchy or not, but obviously we want to have that mentality, and we want to be that type of team where we take advantage of what's given to us on a deep fly ball to left. And Brandon did a great job at trailing me, and now we got second and third with Ike up. With one out. What more can you ask for?
I ask guys this all the time. You've only been here 10 days or so. What's the biggest difference you see so far between Arizona spring training and Florida spring training?
Honestly, it's not too different. I mean, the bus ride's a little different, but I was in Tucson in 2010, too, and we kind of did the same deal where we would get on a bus and go from Tucson to Phoenix. So kind of similar in that aspect, but the travel's a little different, and it's a little bit more humid down here than it is in Arizona. You got the dry heat, whatever they call it out there, but it's a little more humid, a little bit more sweat here, but I enjoy it. It's you can stay loose pretty well down here, and it's been beautiful the whole time, so I'm enjoying it.
Are you familiar with the phrase, "we need more Cowgill"? It's gaining traction among the Twitter universe.
Yeah, I came in the other day, and David and those guys were joking around with me about it, so it's funny. We have fun with it, so it's I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, if David lays that one on, you got to kind of go with it. Right, set the play right now and takes a strike. Who'd you root for growing up? You're a Kentucky guy, you're an All-American there. Who are your guys growing up?
I mean, we got to be a Reds fan. That's it kind of by default. They're the closest team we have in Kentucky. If we're not rooting for the Reds in baseball, we're 100% Kentucky basketball. If you don't like Kentucky basketball growing up in Lexington, it's something wrong with you. So, we root for the Reds. We watch the Braves. We used to get them all the time on TV. So I was a big Griffey fan. So when he got over to Cincinnati, it was a little bit easier to watch him play, towards the end. But by default, we got to be Cincinnati guys.
Did you get up there? Did you get to go to a bunch of games as a kid, or what was your fanship like?
For sure. My mom's family was from Maysville, Kentucky, which is fairly close to Cincinnati, so we'd go up there and walk across the bridge with my granddad, so we had a lot of fun with that. We went to quite a few games growing up. It's a straight shot from Lexington too, so travel's not too tough, but it's the only big league major league team we have with any kind of close proximity to Lexington, so we enjoyed it.
What is it like for you being a baseball guy? You talked about KU hoops. What is it like being a baseball guy at a basketball place?
Well, first you got to say UK. You say KU, you're going to get it mixed up.
That's right.
Well, that's a very good point.
It's a big no-no.
They'll send you to Lawrenceville.
That would be the end of that, yeah.
Well, when I was playing baseball, our basketball team wasn't great. It was kind of Tubby's last few years there, and then Billy Gillespie took over, so the baseball program kind of gained some traction. We won the SEC in 2006. So not that it didn't become a baseball school, but towards the end of the season in 2006, people were kind of coming to watch us play. We were winning ball games and the big games with the LSU's and the Arkansas when they came in. We got some good fans, and it was exciting for us. Kind of takes the focus off the basketball team a little bit, and we kind of gained some momentum there. So it was a lot of fun playing there for those few years.
I like it. You're stealing a little thunder from the Hoops program. Colin, thanks so much for sharing a few minutes with us. Best of luck, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You got it. Thanks guys. I appreciate it.
I think Mets fans get a little idea what he's like already. He's been on, on SNY a couple times with Hot Stove already, and you're seeing the type of player he is. You hear the enthusiasm in his voice. What about, let me ask you what I asked him. Is he catching?
Well, I think personalities can absolutely catch on with a team. I think, real conservative, poor base running can be just as catchy as aggressive, good base running. So that's what Colin brings. But I think he brings more than that. You see a smile on his face, loves playing this game. You can never have too many of those kind of guys. I think it's always important. You end up, when you play in 162 games, you need guys that are light, guys that enjoy playing, guys that keep everyone else, excited.
It's good at bat by David Wright. He hit a couple shots to the other way that went foul and pokes one through for his first base hit tonight. Likely his last at bat. And as a matter of fact, that is his last at bat as we get a pinch runner. Brian Bixler comes on, so Wright's night is over. We'll talk to him shortly, too. And, we're talking about the World Baseball Classic. We're going to talk to David about that. He's going to leave this weekend and be gone for potentially up to 2 weeks. So Bixler on at first as the pinch runner. And another at-bat for Ike Davis, who hit a rocket home run his last at-bat in the fourth.
So the U.S.'s first round games will be in Arizona, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just got snow there about a week ago.
How about that, right? They were just the golf tournament. I was watching that. It was 45 degrees.
That's right.
People in ski hats. Talking about bizarre. Carnes dealing to Davis, and there's a strike.
And this young man, Carnes, has got a good arm. Another young, good arm in the minor leagues for the Washington Nationals. 94, 95 miles an hour. He's their fifth highest prospect coming out of the minor leagues. And that's saying something when you have the kind of players they have.
Well, he missed 2010 and most of 2011 with a torn labrum. So he worked to get it back last year and put up some gaudy looking numbers last year strikeout wise. I mean, his whip last year in low A ball, he moved from low A to high A, was .99 and 1.02. And Davis is down on strike, so Carnes gets his first strikeout, and there's two down.
Now batting number 6, the right fielder, Colin McHugh.
By the way, one more note on Carnes. Batting average against last year, combined in low A and high A, 174. It's pretty wicked. Marlon Byrd bats with two down, takes a strike. Bird's 0 for 2. Popped up to short, grounded out to second. To the left side, Rendon makes the play, and the Mets are done here in the 6th. When we come back, we'll hear from number 5. David Wright joins us. Don't go anywhere. Wholesale changes for the Mets in the top of the 7th inning. We start at first base. Zach Lutz replacing Ike Davis there. Shortstop, Wilfredo Tovar taking over for Brandon Hicks. Brian Bixler ran for David Wright. Now he's in at third base. Juan Lagares checks in for Marlon Byrd in right field. And we've got the new pitcher. It's Gonzalez Herman, the 25-year-old.
Herman, tall and lanky, 6'1", 175 pounds. We were watching him throw earlier in the camp. Another great arm in that minor league system.
Will Rhymes will have his first at bat. Plays Steve Lombardozzi. And he fouls off the first one. Terry Collins was raising about Herman's changeup. Said he was really thrilled watching his changeup. Control, of course, what he's working on. But he does have an electric arm. Here in the 7th, 4-1 Nationals. Reese Havens can't get to it. And Rhymes on first with a leadoff single. Joining us now from the Mets dugout is David Wright. David, it's Kevin and Ronnie upstairs. We thank you for taking the time. A little extended time for you these first couple games. Got to get ready for the World Baseball Classic, huh?
Yeah, it's good to get some at bats. Normally probably wouldn't be in the game, this long, ease into it a little bit more. But it's really good to get out there, especially with the night game. It's a little cooler, so get out there a little bit longer, get some at bats, and try to get ready for the Classic.
David, what's it like for you, as you get set to play in this tournament? I mean, you're obviously playing with a lot of teammates who you've never played with before. Some you did in the last WBC. You're playing for a manager in Joe Torre. This one popped to deep center field, and Decker, did he get it? He did! What a grab by Matt Ten Decker! What do you think of that one, Dave?
That's a pretty nice play.
I'd say. Robbed the home run. That was over the wall.
Yeah, he can go get it.
Well, he talked about his strength as a defensive player. I mean, that's just a fantastic play. Over the fence, takes it back. Yeah.
That was outstanding by Matt Den Decker. I don't even remember the question. It was so good. I think what I meant to ask, Dave, is, when you're playing for some guys you play with, some you haven't. You're going to play for a manager, Joe Torre. What is the interaction like before you get there, man? Are you texting guys anticipating this, or is this the type of thing when you get there, you shake hands and you kind of start fresh for this tournament?
Who cares? Let's talk about that catch.
Exactly.
No, it's exciting. You put that USA jersey on, and that's special. That obviously to go out there and represent your country. The last go round was such a good time. The guys got so close, which is amazing because you got, obviously a lot of personalities. You got a lot of, you would think that you'd have a lot of egos, but last time was great. Everybody fit in. You go out there, try to win games, and this time's the same way. I've gotten texts from some of the guys. I've shot some texts to some of the different guys, and we're ready and we're pumped to go out there.
David, one of the things about signing in the off season is that you have to look at this ball club. I mean, you've been on a lot of different clubs here, a lot of veterans, a lot of mix, and now you look like a team that's going to turn the corner with some really fine young players. That had to play into you wanting to come back here for an extended period of time.
Oh, I love this. You look on the field and you just see, very, very, very good young raw players, and that excites me. You look at, obviously Wheeler and Harvey and some of these guys get the headlines, but we go way deeper than that. We got some young power arms that, if you look at the world champion Giants, you look at the Nationals, what they've been able to do to turn things around so quickly, and it starts with your pitching staff having those young power arms, and we have that, and like I said, that really excites me.
David, give me a name you've seen. I mean, I think every Met fan by now knows Matt Harvey and Zach Wheeler. Give me a name that you've seen in camp or maybe faced a live BP that you have seen yourself to throw out to a Met fan about what you're talking about.
Montero. I saw one of his bullpens, and I went online and checked his numbers, and a ton of strikeouts, very few hits, and most importantly, no walks. I mean, it's impressive with a young power arm like that. For him to go out there and not only get guys out, which the minor leagues power pitching normally does, but also to limit the walks and to pitch deep in the game. So he's the guy that's really impressed me so far.
Yeah, David's talking about Rafael Montero, who was in St. Lucie last year, and without having it in front of me, I think he had 110 strikeouts, 19 walks, and someone told me 9 of them were intentional.
Yeah, I think it was around 10, real true walks. We were looking at the back of the baseball card, and we were pretty impressed.
That's pretty wild.
We thought it was a misprint.
And 2 perfect innings yesterday, so he's on his way to a nice camp.
You're so good, David, at, greeting new teammates, sending texts, making phone calls, going out of your way to make people feel comfortable. So when you see a kid like that who's young, I mean, do you see, after you see him throw like you did, do you say something there? How do you handle that as the leader of this team?
Well, it's just trying to make these guys feel comfortable. Especially some of these guys that obviously English is a second language to, go out there.
Did you get that?
No.
Did you try?
No.
All right. just making sure. I think Billy's got it. Good hands.
No, look at the hands behind me.
It's outstanding.
Yeah. No, just, you try to make these guys feel comfortable and go up and, just hold conversations, try to learn about some of these guys because, this is right here is, going to be the core. And, some of these young arms are going to be around for a long time. So you want to get to know these guys as teammates and, do everything you can to make them feel comfortable in the clubhouse. Because that's what kind of the veterans did when I was a young player. I remember my first camp, I didn't say a word. I just wanted to get out of the way. And these guys made me feel welcome. And I think that helped me on the field.
David, on the technical side, we all up here thought that you were robbed of the Gold Glove. He just had a fantastic year last year. First batter up, he's got a lot of speed. He tops it down the line. That's one of those plays that you make as good as anyone in the game. How do you work on that in spring training?
Oh, that's great. I want that type of thing. I want, those kind of plays that you can't practice, throughout the day. I can come out here and take as many ground balls as I want, and I can't simulate that type of thing. So hopefully I make that play come the regular season because that's, I feel like that's one of my strengths, coming in and barehanding those balls. And, it just goes to show that I have a lot of work to do to get ready for the season because I'd like to think that normally I would make that play.
Destin Hood hits one to right center, and that's going to fall in for a base hit. Nationals will score. Will Rhymes comes around. Hood's going to speed into second base. RBI double for Destin Hood makes it 5-1 Nationals. As we're talking with David Wright. Let me ask you one more thing, David, about being around these young guys and being a leader and just really enjoying what you're seeing here. Is it, I don't want to say bother you because that's probably the wrong word, but because you are missing a couple weeks hopefully to go and win with Team USA at the World Baseball Classic, is it tough that you will miss that time with these young guys?
Yes, of course. I mean, I think it's I'd like to say it's an easy decision for me to play for Team USA. Obviously that's an incredible honor, and to get that opportunity, I can't pass that up. But also, I feel like I need to be around here, especially with the young guys to get ready for the season, with them. So it was a tough decision, but ultimately, it's too good of an opportunity for me to pass up. But yeah, I'm gonna miss spending the time with these guys and kind of getting to know each other, both on a personal level and on the baseball field.
Well, David, listen, you're leaving what, Saturday?
Saturday. All
right, well, good enough. We'll see, I think, one more game, and certainly the best of luck in the World Baseball Classic, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for the time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, David.
All right, guys.
David's catching foul balls. He's seeing Dendecker rob a home run. It's been an eventful inning.
No, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. The ball was coming. He first thought, let me catch that. I'm too valuable to this team. I can't take a chance of catching that, and he almost got the guy there waffled.
Yeah. Bill was hiding behind Wright, though, so he did act as the human shield. But that's great stuff. I mean, David giving you a name of Montero to Mets fans, too, as Tovar fires and the inning's over. How about the highlight? Anthony Rendon being robbed by Matt Dendecker. Over the wall, baby. What a play. Nationals had a run. They lead at 5-1. 5-1 Nationals lead the Mets. Spring training baseball in Port St. Lucie. Bottom of the 7th inning. Kirk Neuenhuis gets his first at-bat of the evening. See Kirk's totals. Last year got off to a great start and then struggled and of course hurt his foot. Plantar fascia injury, which did not require surgery, required rest. But it was tough because, you know, instead of him coming back up after he was sent down the minors and really getting a second opportunity around the league, he had to rest. So now there's some uncertainty, and Kirk gets a chance to prove himself. But boy, he really showed some really good things last year. I mean, there were a lot of things I think Met fans liked as Greg Burke, the side armor, warming up.
I think the key for Kirk moving forward is that with his swing, and it's kind of a flat swing, he's going to have to just have an ability to handle the strike zone. What do I mean by that is he pops this one up the left field. There are certain pitches that he is not going to really handle very well, and he's going to have to learn how to take those. That'll be the key. And I'm talking about the slider down and in, pitches like that.
So he flies out there. We'll get a pinch hitter for Andrew Brown. Mike Baxter will take his turn at bat.
Number 23, Mike Baxter.
Baxter getting a shot. Andrew Brown was the DH tonight. It was 0 for 2. Now Baxter facing Nate Carnes. Hard throwing right-hander, an A-ball last year for the Nationals. You just tuned in. Night started out with Ruben Tejada being scratched from the lineup with a right quad cramp. Terry Collins did mention a strain in his press meeting. But Mets call it a cramp and say day to day. Hopefully that's all it is for Ruben, who had a right quad strain that kept him out for 7 weeks last year. Lucas Duda day to day, not for an injury, but Terry Collins declaring that he's not ready. He needs extra work in the cage. A little behind because he was inactive this offseason, broke his wrist moving furniture. Jonas Schwartz, Joe Benengo will have exclusive Met player and coach interviews straight from Port St. Lucie. Plus, break down all the top New York sports stories of the day on Daily News Live, presented by Citi. It's weekdays at 5 only on SNY. Carnes has Baxter 1-2. And he gets him. High cheddar from Carnes, 93 on the gun, 2 down. We take a look at the Mets pocket schedule, brought to you by Volkswagen. We'll be back on the air Wednesday on SNY, a 1 o'clock start against the Cards. Zach Wheeler will get the start in that one. That will be fun. So we saw him on Saturday. Now we get a chance to get him the starts on Wednesday against the Cardinals.
We love that pocket schedule, don't we?
Pocket schedule it's a quality item. Here's Travis d'Arnaud, his first at-bat tonight. d'Arnaud replacing John Buck at catcher. He went up to Kissimmee to face the Astros last night. A couple of strikeouts, 0 for 3 in his Met debut. Caught Matt Harvey. 1-1 to d'Arnaud here. Said that he was a little amped up. He hadn't played, of course, since the knee injury since last summer. And to calm himself down, listen to classical music before the game.
Beethoven, I think, is his choice.
How many big leaguers are doing that before a game?
He's the only one.
I don't think so.
You know, it's interesting. He's got a short stroke. He reminds me, body style, a little bit of Russell Martin. Russell Martin now has moved on to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
1-2 to him here. And he goes down swinging. Nasty stuff from Nate Carnes. 2 innings of work. He had 3 strikeouts. Look good. Mets down in order in the 7th. Subscribe to MLB.TV Premium today. Watch over 150 select spring training games live, plus every regular season game live on demand, over 250 mobile and connected devices. Visit Mets.com for all the details. Fantastic night. Port St. Lucie 5-1 Nationals, top of the 8th. Greg Burke, talk about an interesting story, is now on for the Mets.
First Duke University grad since Chris Capuano for the Mets. He had an outstanding year last year in the Baltimore Orioles organization, and I'm always a big fan of having a guy on the roster who is a submariner who can come in and get ground balls. It'll be interesting to see the kind of camp that Mr. Burke has.
Matt Skoll is the hitter. He'll lead it off here in the 8th inning. Burke is a guy who, you know, it's one of those things. He got to a point, he had kind of plateaued, was looking for something, was in camp with the Orioles last year. Skoll pounds the first one down to first, and Lutz over to Burke covering, one down. First of all, let's look at his motion. It's different.
Well, he has a pause in it right there where he drops his head, so he almost looks like a conventional pitcher. But as soon as he has that pause, he drops his head to the ground, that brings his arm to the ground, and he gets the first ground ball.
So he's in camp with the Orioles last year, and, you know, kind of looking for something, and he's throwing normal overhand 3/4, and our old friend Rick Peterson says, you ever try to drop down? So Peterson drops him down. You know, they work on this for a little while. And then, as the story goes, they sent him over to an inter-squad game that's going on. He goes over to a AA game. Oh, that looks pretty good. Over to a AAA game. That looks pretty good too. Next thing you know, Greg Burke is a wanted commodity. Mets picked him up, and they liked him so much that they put him on their 40-man roster immediately because they were afraid that someone would take him in the Rule 5 draft. He went and pitched in the Mexican League. Was a closer down there. So. This is not just your normal free agent pickup. This is, we really like this guy. He's on our 40.
Rick Peterson might be the only pitching coach who never thinks inside the box. Always outside the box.
Go work right now. Happy that he did that. Rob Carson warming up.
Rick's had a lot of experience with that when you think about it. He had Chad Bradford for the Mets in 2006, and he was so effective.
And Burke gets the strikeout. So Maldonado down on strikes. And there's 2 down. New York Mets baseball on SNY, brought to you by Citi. Citi cardholders have exclusive access to buy Mets single game tickets at Mets.com/Citi presale starting Monday at noon. Also by Ford. Visit your Tri-State Ford dealer today for great values. Ford, go further. And by Time Warner Cable, enjoy all the things you love better. TV, internet, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. Jason Martinson, the batter, another righty, as Burke will face him and starts him outside for ball 1. Burke from Gloucester Catholic High School. It's in South Jersey, kind of near Philadelphia. Be an easy commute for some of his family if he does make the team, that's for sure.
That's right. Straight down 95.
Trying for a 1-2-3 inning. 1-1 to Martinson.
I mean, this is my first look at Burke, but nasty.
You like him?
Yeah. Well, he's got that delay, and he's kind of unorthodox, so all of that is going to throw your timing off as a hitter, and he throws hard enough to get your attention.
Yeah, he does. Gets him with the heater there. Good inning for Greg Burke. 2 strikeouts, and he sets the Nationals down in order. Palm trees swaying in the night sky. Nationals up 5-1. area and left many local youth baseball and softball leagues with no place to play. This year, we hit the bottom of the 8th inning, and the new pitcher is Patrick McCoy for the Nationals.
Well, you see his record had a nice year last year, 7-3 with Harrisburg, which is the Double-A team for the Nationals.
Facing Reese Havens in an 0-1 hole, and he takes it 0-2. So what Reese did with Binghamton last year, and for Reese, this is a guy that was drafted in the same draft as Ike Davis and thought of just as highly, but has had so many injury issues for a guy that never missed a single game at South Carolina. Just terrible luck. 26 years old now. He's played the last 2 years in Binghamton. He's always had good power from the second base position. You saw the 10 home runs last year. And last year was really kind of a milestone for him. He got 94 games in at 325 at bats, which was a positive. Obviously, the average not where you want, but scouts have always loved his bat. And for Havens, now at age 26, it's just about staying on the field and really getting your shot here. 0-2, and he takes it outside.
You know, although he hit a home run off Matt Harvey in yesterday's game, the Mets have had a couple players in the minor leagues, Reese Havens, Fernando Martinez, that it's really difficult for them to stay on the field. And when you can't stay on the field, you have no chance of advancing, or at least it really stagnates your progress.
Havens down to first. Skoll will take it himself. And there's one down here in the home 8th inning. That'll bring up Matt Den Decker, who had the highlight of the game, that's for sure. Kids having some fun on the berm. Well, Den Decker went up to rob Anthony Rendon of a home run in the 7th inning. Just spectacular. Running back reaching over, and then the big smile, too. Well, there's never a question about him playing center field. It's just about getting that bat major league ready, and now here's his opportunity for that.
It reminds me of a little bit when he made that catch. Remember Steve Finley? Fine player for all those teams. Left-hander who used to go up against the fence many times and rob home runs. A little bit like Steve Finley there.
And here he's got a base hit, so then Decker's showing you the offense. And Finley never had blazing speed. He was just so aware of his outfield surroundings.
You know what I like about this on Den Decker? Lefty-lefty matchup. Stays in there, right back up the middle. Short stroke. That's a swing he's going to want to take a look at on film and try to copy that.
Now, he's a guy that dominated Double-A offensively, really struggled in Triple-A. So with this outfield competition the way it is, if he has a great camp, is that enough to put him in the mix, or you need to see it a little bit more at AAA first?
Yeah, not for me. I think because he struggled at AAA, I think he needs to at least start there and prove that he can hit that AAA pitching.
Gotcha.
And, it's going to be hard, and I asked Terry Collins about this winter. It's going to be interesting to evaluate your offensive players playing in Las Vegas, because there's going to be some numbers that are going to be a little higher than you would certainly have seen in Buffalo.
Wilfredo Tovar skies one to Michael Taylor, who puts him away. Second out of the inning. And Decker retreats first. That'll bring up Brian Bixler. So how do you do it then? How do you judge it? Is it simply talking to Wally Backman and George Greer, the hitting coach down there, and saying, how's this guy look?
Yeah, that's part of it. I think also you take a look at some of the numbers in the league for other players too, so you can maybe judge it on a curve, But I think maybe you take away. If Den Decker has 5 or 6 home runs, well, those don't really concern you. Do you want him hitting the ball on the ground, hitting line drive, just like he just did? If you see a lot of that, or Wally Backman sees a lot of that, there's going to be some glowing reports.
Maybe the flip side, how do you judge the pitchers? Let's say Wheeler goes down there and his numbers aren't what you thought they would be. How do you judge that?
Well, the hard part is not going to be judging the pitchers. The hard part is the pitchers judging themselves, because sometimes when you play in those lofty places, you're going to give up a home run or two. Maybe your ERA is going to be half a run higher, and it's going to teach guys like Zach and other pitchers how to stay away from that big inning, which can happen in a place like Las Vegas or Albuquerque or others. We've seen how it happens in Colorado.
It'll be fun to see Wheeler on Wednesday on our game on SNY 1 o'clock against the Cardinals. That's for sure. He was fun to watch on Saturday. Fun to talk to, too. I mean, boy, he's so laid back. You know, he just seems like he seems like he's cool and chill, and this is just kind of working for him.
Well, you know, my man Steve Serby with the Post, right? Whenever he has those interviews, he always gets those questions that no one else asks.
Yeah.
And it was interesting what I got from Bixler gets hit. What I got from that article is that the tremendous, even though he's quiet, a tremendous amount of self-confidence on his part. If you're going to get hit, even though it's easy for me to say because I'm not up there getting hit, but the back of the tricep is not a bad place.
Was it Wheeler? I don't remember now because, you know, I read Steve all the time. I thought it was a Met who said, you know, he always has 3 dinner guests.
Yeah,
he said one of the dinner guests was Blackbeard.
I don't think that. I think his was Marilyn Monroe, I think, was one of them, which I found interesting.
Zach Lutz has himself a base hit, and he drives home a run. Lutz trying for 2. He's got it. Oh, fans get into it there. Zach Lutz, a hard hit double, gets the Mets their second run. It's now 5-2 Washington.
Well, nice hitting. That big swing by Lutz, who's hit everywhere he's gone. Easily scores Den Decker from second base. And the good thing about this is that this throw came into third from the left fielder, which allows Zach Lutz to read it and proceed to second base. That's a good read.
You know, I'm rethinking that. I think the Blackbeard comment might have been, was Parnell the guy too?
That's right. Because it's, you know, there's a lot of that history off the coast of North Carolina. Of course, that's where he's from.
Right. And, you know, that Serby followed up, well, Blackbeard. Well, yeah, you know, it'd be kind of cool to see what Pirates thinking.
Well, Bobby's trying to go for his Brian Wilson impersonation during the season here. That beard's getting pretty long. Steve McCaddy goes out to talk to his young left-hander.
Mets showing you some life here. Den Decker got it going with a 1-out single, and then Bixler hit by the pitch, and then Lutz with the tomahawk double, make it 5-2. So the Mets will have the tying run at the plate. And that's Juan Lagares will be the batter. See the action in the Nationals pen. It's Eric Davis, no relation to the former Red center fielder.
Well, it's got a K on his name. We saw him pitch on Saturday. Very impressive from Stanford.
So now Juan Lagares will take his turn. Base hit could get the Mets with a run here. He represents a tying run, but Lagares not thought of as a power guy for the most part. He is thought of as a good all-fields hitter. And he takes outside for ball 1. That's a base hit. Bixler scores. Lutz going to come on in. He will score. 2-run single for Juan Lagares. Mets within 1.
Well, no sooner did you say it, Kevin, that Lagares is a hitter who hits to all fields. He shows a great ability with the bat to take that outside pitch and drill it to right field. Nice hitting by the young right-handed hitter. That's very reminiscent of a Manny Ramirez kind of swing as he serves out to right field. Good jump by Lutz on second base, who doesn't have a tremendous amount of speed, but he had a great secondary lead and scores easy.
Well, we've seen some examples of that aggressive base running tonight, haven't we?
Yeah.
Last couple games, really, as Lagares. You know, Juan spent the last 2 years in Double-A. I mean, but you look at it, 7 years in the minor leagues as a 280 hitter. Just, you know, really the problem for him is when you're an outfielder and don't have the pop, that's a hard position not to have power. So Neuenhuis now trying to at least tie this game up with 2 down. This is a big point for Neuenhuis. You talked about the lefty-lefty thing. This is a perfect place for Neuenhuis to show Terry Collins that he could handle a lefty or two.
I remember last year in Tampa Bay, he had a couple home runs in that game. One to left center field. He's got a lot of power to left field. He cannot just hit the one part of the diamond. He needs to use the whole diamond also.
I asked Terry Collins if strikeouts are just going to be part of Newman Heights' game, and if you could live with strikeouts as long as they're not totally abundant. And he said I could live with him because he has the power. If he hits for that power, you can live with him. And he had 7 home runs last year. Here in an 0-2 hole. And he goes around swinging. So Newman Heights leaves the tying run aboard, but the Mets put together a rally. They put 3 on the board. Nationals still in front by 1. Weekdays at 6, Chris Carlin, Adam Shine bring you live reports on the Mets and Yanks straight from camp. Plus, up-to-the-minute news on all the latest in New York sports loudmouths. Weeknights at 6, only on SNY. Top of the 9th here in Port St. Lucie, Tradition Field. 5-4 Nationals lead it. And the Mets' new pitcher is Robert Carson.
You know, it's interesting about watching Robert last year. The first time he came up, he didn't look like he belonged. He went down, sent back down, worked real hard, came up, and the next time he had some real strong moments.
The shot by Michael Taylor. Nieuwenhuis comes in and traps it. Good effort by Kirk Nieuwenhuis, but Taylor has a leadoff single here in the 9th.
This is the athleticism we see. He's trying to be aggressive, but still able to somehow catch that in the webbing of his glove once he realizes he can't get to the baseball.
I mean, Nieuwenhuis saw his buddy Decker rob a home run. He's trying to add to the highlights.
Exactly.
He had a few highlights in center field last year himself. Here's Will Rhymes.
I would like to say it would be nice if Decker got in the top 10. I don't know if I can see another 10 dunks again.
Well, I guess I don't know if the Heat are playing tonight. I guess I have to check that.
That's an automatic 3 out of the 10.
It certainly belongs. That was pretty awesome. Rhymes, good bunt. Straddling the line, hitting the bag fair. How about that? Bixler let it roll, and he had no shots, and it just stayed right on the line.
Well, Davey Johnson's crew with a 1-run lead, playing a little small ball here.
Look at that.
Ball took one little hop as it was going foul that made it take one movement to the right, which kept it fair. See that hop there? That was the difference.
Well, here's Anthony Rendon now, who is sour over getting robbed from a home run. He's the Nationals' #1 prospect. First rounder out of Rice in 2011. So officially an F8 in your scorecard thanks to Matt Dendecker. His first at bat came in as a substitute at third base and takes strike one from Carson.
Hit a home run, two-run home run in yesterday's game to help the Nationals.
Talked about Carson the second time he came up. What made him better? What specifically did you think was better that second
He didn't
time?
look afraid, and I know that's a weird word to use. You know, no athlete's afraid, but when he first came up, he was a little tentative on wanting to throw the ball for strikes and going after the hitters. But when he came back up, he was aggressive, and he's got the kind of stuff that he should be aggressive with. So it was nice to see. There's Ryan Matthews in the bullpen for the Washington Nationals.
0-2 to Rendon. He powers that one to right field, base hit. Nationals going to have the bases juiced. Now Carson has himself in a pickle with the bases loaded and nobody out.
That's why they like this kid Rendon. He can hit to all fields. We saw him take Dendecker all the way back to the fence for that great catch, and now hits one down the right field line. Good hitting.
It's not bad when you're the Nationals when you have half of your young guys already at the major league level that are, you know, real good, and you got a couple more that are not too far away down in the minors as well. Adrian Sanchez with the bases loaded and nobody out.
Well, the way things are going now, unless you have unlimited funds, it's the ability of an organization. The Tampa Bay Rays, I think, do it as well as anyone. Making a decision at some point, when do you start replacing those guys who are $15, $20 million a year players with the guys and giving the young guys a shot?
Carson with 91 on the fastball. Our next broadcast on SNY Wednesday against the Cardinals. A 1 o'clock start. Zach Wheeler gets the start, so don't want to miss that one. If you're working, set your DVR. Be here on SNY. 0-2. Tough play. Carson going to try to flip it home. No chance. Just, boy, the Nationals had a few of those tonight. Just those perfect tweeners. And they get an infield hit from Sanchez and a run. And make it a 2-run game. It's still nobody out.
Well, good read here by the runner on third. He has that big secondary lead, so there really wasn't any play at home. You really had to try to maybe make a play at first, but I don't think you would have had him any place.
I'm going to go back to your point about when to replace people, or, when guys get up and start making salary. Isn't that kind of what happened to the Phillies? I mean, they got to that point and they signed all their guys for the most part. And now the Phillies, look, they still have their stars that are hopefully rebounded from being injured, but their window, at least would seem, is short. Bixler makes the grab on third, coming home, and the ball is dropped by d'Arnaud. Still trying to get him. He does. How about the play by Brian Bixler? Robert Carson will take that.
Well, the presence of mind, not only to go to his right, step on the bag in one motion, get the ball to d'Arnaud. A little off the bag, had to reach across, drops the ball. But as you can see, the umpire with no call means the runner did not touch the plate. Heads up by d'Arnaud.
d'Arnaud credit. He dove across and then got it knocked out, but stayed with it, realized what was going on. Brian Bixler, that was outstanding.
Boy, going away and still makes that play, the throw right across the runner. Interesting, though, it looked like the base runner, Will Rhymes, did touch the plate when he went across.
He 100% did.
Okay.
But it's the 9th inning of the spring training game. Dendecker coming on hard, called off Lagares. And that'll do it. So Carson gets out of a base and loaded jam thanks to some nice defense. He was safe. What are you going to do? Let's go to the bottom of the 9th. How about that? Take a look at the Geico Sports Night storylines. The Q's taking on Marquette's. Good highlights of that one. The latest on Santonio Holmes' contract. Probably the least of the Jet worries. And then Tom Brady's mega deal with the Patriots. It's all coming up 10:30 tonight. Geico Sports Light, the only show that's only New York sports tonight, 10:30 on SNY. Ryan Matthews had a terrific year for the Nationals in the pen last year, up to try and close this one out for Davey Johnson in the ninth.
Yeah, 66 appearances, ERA sub-3. Good sinker ball pitcher. That unusual way of taking the sign with the glove in front of his face.
Mike Baxter trying to get the Mets going in a 1-1 count. Oh, but this Nationals bullpen, pretty good. I mean, you know, we know what happened in that Game 5 against the Cardinals, where the bullpen faltered and then Storen couldn't close it out. Well, now Drew Storen is the 8th inning guy. Clippard's the 7th inning guy. You've got Matthews. They signed Rafael Soriano as their closer. Pretty deep bullpen.
Yeah, they have a deep bullpen. The only issue is they lost both Sean Burnett and Tom Gorzolani, who were outstanding for them last year. And they'll spend all spring training, or Davey will, with Steve McCaddy, their pitching coach, trying to find a left-handed replacement for those two. I'm still trying to get over who has a better life than Tom Brady in our Geico News tonight.
Oh, not many folks.
Jeez.
Two and two to Baxter. And Baxter retired for the first out. You know, it's interesting about that Game 5 for the Nationals that lost. They're up 6-0. Looked like they were on their way to going to the NLCS. People forget about that game, and certainly Storen had a hard time closing it out. He had one questionable call against David Freese. It was a walk, and there was 2 outs too.
Yeah.
Bottom line is they didn't get it done. They know that. But you know, Gio Gonzalez only went 5 innings, and he allowed 3 runs before he departed in that game to kind of give the Cardinals a little life. It was a total, team effort there. They just didn't close it out.
When you have a 6-0 lead and you got a pitcher who won 21 games, that game should be over.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. So those things happen. Credit St. Louis Cardinals,
absolutely,
for playing 9 hard innings that night. Just an outstanding effort. And it was interesting that the last couple of days there was some chatter about that Storen was experiencing some back spasms in that Game 5, and I think I really appreciated Drew Storen not addressing that. Yes. Said no comment.
Yeah, that was not from him.
Yeah.
I think that was his teammate. I think it was Jason Worth, who were trying to kind of take some of the pressure off him. But you know what? Drew's a high character guy. I mean, he is. He gets it more than most.
Yep.
And I think he'll be fine.
It was a pretty amazing series, though, huh? Back and forth. The problem really for the Nationals in that series is their starting pitching was not as strong as it's been all season long. Strasburg, of course, out of the rotation. And the bullpen gave up 17 runs in those 5 games. And that's something they hadn't done all season long.
And the other thing about that series, as we watched d'Arnaud in a 1-2 hole, his second at bat, struck out his first, is... Storen had to work hard in that inning. He threw a bunch of pitches the night before. He was in that 8-0 loss in Game 3 and threw 11 pitches there. I'm not making excuses. Just saying, little things that contribute. But you're right. The starting pitching was not what it was. Gio did not go deep. He went 5 innings both of his starts. Jordan Zimmerman all year, the Nats were pretty careful with him. They never let him go deep in the game. So you wonder if that changes this year.
I think what happens in the postseason for some teams is that a manager has to go to his bullpen sometimes earlier than they're accustomed to all year. So bullpen guys love to have their role. Sometimes there's no role in the postseason. Just be ready to go. But Soriano certainly is going to help. He had an outstanding year last year, taking the place of Rivera.
d'Arnaud's got a base hit. But Travis d'Arnaud will save that baseball. Spring game or not, he's got a hit as a New York Met.
Well, a big swing there by d'Arnaud. He's got a high leg kick and wraps that bat.
Now a chance for Reese Havens. Tying run at the plate here in the 9th. Nationals up 6-4. Ryan Matthews trying to close it out for the Nats. Gets one by Havens on the fastball, strike one. Tell you what, it's a night game. Some of the fans have gone on. Fans are here. They want to rally. Well, I mean, every crack of the bat.
They got one right here. They got a base hit, still in it.
Oh, 2 to Havens. Lays off the inside. Heats. Goes down on strikes. Second out for Matthews.
Pretty good breaking ball here, Kevin. Down and in to Havens.
Now it's up to Matt Den Decker, who's had quite the night. See, he has a well-struck single. He scored a run. He also has a whale of a catch, robbing Anthony Rendon of a home run over the center field wall. And Ronnie, by the way, the Heat are off tonight, so maybe Den Decker can make the top 10.
I wouldn't. We might show some highlights from last night's game. Never know. See, there's an inverse relation as Valdesman comes up. If you have people putting together the top 10 and they can't dunk, then most of the top 10 is going to be dunks. That's kind of how it works.
2-0 to Den Decker. Tying run at the plate for the Mets. 2 down in the 9th. Darno, after his first hit as a Met this spring, leads off first. 2-1. There goes Darno, and then Decker takes a strike. Mets down to their final strike here. And he gets it. Strike 3. Ryan Matthews paints the outside corner. And the Mets go down to the outs 6-4. Your final score. Davey Johnson's crew gets their first win of the spring. Mets their first loss. Mets had a couple highlights tonight, though. Certainly, look at the outing from Greg Berg. You look at the great catch by Den Decker. You look at the home run from Ike Davis. Zach Lutz had a big hit.
I think the other thing you'll look at, Kevin, real quick is Scott Rice with a nice bit of work as he's trying to find a role in here as a left-hander.
You see the summary, 6'4". Gio Gonzalez was terrific in his 2 innings of work. Colin McHugh, 2 1/3, looked strong in the first 2, struggled a little bit in that 3rd inning. He gets the loss. You see the line as the Nationals take it 6-4. New York Mets baseball on SNY brought to you by Budweiser, by WB Mason, by your tri-state area Volkswagen dealers. Visit VWDealer.com, and by Xerox, ready for real business. Nationals take care of the Mets 6-4 tonight from Tradition Field in Port St. Lucie. Wednesday, our next telecast on SNY, it'll be the Cardinals and the Mets with Zach Wheeler getting the start at 1 o'clock. For Ron Darling, I'm Kevin Burkhardt. Thanks to our entire SNY crew. Thank you for watching. Have a great night. We'll see you Wednesday afternoon on SNY. So long, everyone.